Oh, that was an abrupt start, wasn't it? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Telltale Cockerel, episode 7, Termination. Termination is a sci-fi film, and I use the word termination today because today all clubs have sent out their squads for players that have not been reinstated for following season. So basically the players they've let go on are free, and Tottenham obviously have 4 players that are on that list that are on the thumbnail. But before we go on to anything like that, Cole's always my co-host, so I'm not going to ask Cole. I'm going to ask Adrian how he is today. How are you, Adrian?
I'm fine. Yeah, fine. Looking forward to doing a show. I have no idea what it's about yet, but even with that theme you introduced, I'm not really a film person. I don't watch films. I don't know nothing about celebrities and things like that. I wouldn't recognise one in the street if they were world famous. I mean, so.
Now, what I've been doing lately, Adrian, I've been naming my episodes after a film, depending on what the flavour of the day is, or what the flavour of the fan base is, and stuff like that. Well, today I'm just calling it Termination because of exactly what I've just described, what happened, and it's the only film that I could find that's descriptive enough to be near to what we're talking about today. So. That's the reason why I've done it. Senor Colin, how are you?
I'm good. Today? Good. I'm hot. I'm upstairs, and it's hot up here. But good. If that's my only complaint, everything's awesome. And I'm excited that Spurs got rid of some players. And I see the chat talking about there was some loss involved. I think that's a good sign. I think it's a positive sign, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But I am glad that we were willing to cut ties with some players.
Fantastic. Right. So
I caught up with that this morning. I was on that cast with Ellie this morning. Normally I'd be going through my news feed. So
I'll help you out today, Adrian. Well, you're going to help me out. I'm going to give you the ammunition. You're going to fire the bullets.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So to start with, let's welcome people in. First of all, you've got me saying, come on, you guys, you know the rules. Smash a like on your way in and during the show. I've also put in there, this is a lot earlier. Please comment and subscribe. Thank you in advance for your participation. Mr. Talking Ball said that that thumbnail is ace. Yep. And he's also said, hey, looking like he might be a minute or 2 late, which he was 3 or 4 minutes late.
I did my best. It was my best estimation of how.
Which is good comparing some podcasts.
Yeah.
You know. I had to make my Nescafe gold latte.
DC is here saying hi from the start. Hope everyone in the chat as well. I will come back to DC in a second because he's put about 4 or 5 comments in already, but I want to say hello to people first. And then you've got Destiny 5. It's got 2 words as he's come in. Not even a hello and a good afternoon. How are we, gentlemen? He's just got Levy out.
He didn't even say go to hell. He didn't say any of that.
Nothing at all. You got Jesse here. It says good afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Jesse. Nice to see you as always. You have Audio Artisan in here saying afternoon, chaps, in the chat. Our resident paramedic, Peter Kagayas, saying hi all. It's 1:45 a.m. in Melbourne.
Dedication.
Got Shemtan. Hello to the new boss man, Mr. Jose Mourinho. And after dropping the I'm not in charge bombshell yesterday, his new assistant, Mr. Colin Kazim Richards, and Mr. Adrian. Hope everyone is well today. We also have Drula here saying, good afternoon, Jose.
Ooh-la-la.
On the chat. Drula, I can't wait because your Aunt Ellie has been telling me that she's going to get you to co-host a show here on Hotel Cockerel.
Whoa.
I can't wait for that to happen for you, Drula. It'd be great to see you again. I saw you during the Women's World Cups and you were superb then. And I think you'll be superb again. So I can't wait when we can get you on and you can do a show with Ellie. Jamie Wooten, hey up, lads. Jamie,
Jamie.
hope you're well, Jamie. I hope you're good.
Up for cup, Jamie.
Carl Simpson, hello, gents. Hope you're all well. And hello, the chat from Carl. Good afternoon, Carl. I hope you're well. And you've got Nita saying, good afternoon, Jose, Colin, Adrian in the chat. Hope you're well. And you too, Nita. I hope you're well. Going back to, I'm just going to, I don't know, do I start with the news from today or should I just go straight into DC's comments? I'll go into DC's comments, I'll get them out of the way and then we can just go into what started today. So DC's saying, so 4 players have left the club with Spurs losing 29 million on them. Yet more proof of Spurs scouting department failing. I'm not totally in agreement with that, but David Clark says, everyone keeps telling me that Levy's model to buy young players and if they fail to fit the of a current coach, then move them on for profit. This has been a total failure, i.e. Sanchez.
I don't feel like that's even in our model 100%, but
that's peanuts compared to the amount of when we played for Ndombele.
Then you've got, it says Levy had to cut the club's losses. Levy has had to cut the club losses for over 20 years. How is that sustainable in the long term? It's not because there are less to spend on new players to push the club forward. And then he says their contracts have been terminated. Their contracts have come to an end. A huge difference.
True.
Yeah. You can use the word terminus because it's the end of the journey at Spurs. And then he says, Eze in and Gallagher to Villa, please. And then apart from that, you've had a couple more people just jump in. So Danny Talks Sports says, smash a like and subscribe, please. Good afternoon, Danny. I hope you're well, sir. Nice to see you here. Destiny 5's now saying, hope you're all well, gents. My bad. Levy's mistakes make me angry, lol. Rob Belcher is saying, good afternoon and hashtag no to Gallagher. And then we have Daniel Coyce. Serious clubs don't worry about taking a hit on their deadwood. They get rid regardless. Look at Arsenal in recent times. Now, so today's news, right, for the people that don't know, I'm going to start with the Tottenham first. So the Tottenham news is the players that weren't on the retained list for next year are Eric Dyer, Ivan Perisic, Ryan Sessegnon, Japhet Tanganga. Arsenal, on their not returned list, the only players that people will know of note is Mohamed El Neni and Cedric Suarez. All the others are young players. Aston Villa didn't release a list at all. Bournemouth have only released, they reckon they've only released Ben Greenwood, but that's incorrect because Bournemouth have lost Lloyd Kelly. He's on the not retained list. Brentford, Charlie Good, Saman Ghoddos, Shandon Baptiste, Amaru King are probably the first team players that they've got rid of. They've got quite an extensive list. Brighton have released Adam Lallana and Altaze was another one of their first team players that they've released. Chelsea, Thiago Silva. Crystal Palace is James Tompkins and Jairo Riedeveld. Everton, Andre Gomez, Andy Lonergan are probably the 2 first teamers that they've not let go. Fulham have not announced their list yet, but definitely know that Tosin Adarabioyo was one of them because he got released today. So they've not actually published their list yet, but he's definitely been released. Ipswich have let go of Dominic Ball, Panucci Kamara, Nick Hayes and Caden Jackson. Leicester City have not announced it yet. Liverpool, Joel Matip and Thiago Alcantara from their first team. Man City haven't released anything yet. Manchester United, Rafael Varane and Anthony Martial.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle United have got a really, really long list, but the only players that I can see that have got first team football are Paul Dummett, Matt Ritchie, Loris Karius, Jeff Hendrick. It's got Amadou Diallo there, but I thought he played with Man United, but it's got an Amadou Diallo in there. And and Sean Mavididi. They're players that I know that have played with their first team. Nottingham Forest have let go of Wayne Hennessy and Sheku Kouyaté and Felipe. Southampton have let go of Stuart Armstrong. And Tottenham have let go of the players that I said today. So there's going to be more players added to that list anyway. But that's where we are with that. The only surprise to me is that with Japhet Tanganga being released today, I thought with Japhet's, and this is where you got to weigh up the people, is with Japhet Tanganga, he had a good loan at Millwall. I thought that Tottenham may have offered him a year's extension, or sorry, they would have triggered the year extension with him in order to now sell him now in this summer and make some money back on him. But Tottenham have decided not to go down that route and have just not reinstated him for the last year. So they've let him go today. So therefore, we've had a lot of people shout within the community saying that we've got to start acting like a big club. You know, we start letting go of our dead wood. Well, today's the first sign of that, isn't it? Because we've not tried to keep Tanganga for a further season and to cash in on him. And maybe someone like Sessegnon could have given him his further year and cashed in on him as well. But Tottenham decided not to do this. What are your thoughts, Adrian?
Well, on Tanganga? Well, let's say
on what they've done.
Look, yeah, but okay, yeah, good moves. Sessegnon, again, with the Dyer and Perisic, we know why. That's pretty good. Perisic is coming to the end of his career anyway. You know, with Dyer, he was going to be kicked out, and he's on with Moses. Okay, so this is good by the club. Now, I understand people say, oh, we get money for Tanganga. Really? I mean, all depends what your opinion is and how much money you get. Because if Tanga's on 40 grand a year, 40 grand a week, that's over 2 million, right? A year. Now, how much was Spurs expecting to get from him if he stays for another contract? I don't think Millwall are going to pay more than that. I don't think there was a lot in it. Math. He might be on more than 40 grand a year because remember when he first started and then they gave him a rise, didn't they? That's I'm just saying on 40 grand. I know that most of their first team was probably on 70 or 80, but he drifted away from the pack, didn't he? Injuries and all that. So I'm thinking, look, you know, Levy, if he can squeeze a bit more juice out of the lemon and get a few quid, he's going for it. They've done the maths. It's cheaper to get rid of Tanganga. Sessegnon, and I wish him all. I really do wish him all the best. And the same for Sessegnon. My heart goes out to that kid. He was at us at 17 and all that. So what does it tell us? Well, it tells us a very important thing. It tells us that Brandon Austin, who signed a 5-year contract, and Alfie Whiteman, who's the other goalkeeper that's academy trained, and that Troy Parrott, 22, and Skip will be at the club next year because they are the only 4 academy trained players we've got now for Europe. You can have 8. You need 8 academy trained players anyway for the Premier League, and you can go out and get 8. But for Europe, 4 have to be academy trained. So that tells me Parrott staying. He's actually had a good finish to the season at Excelsior with 2 hat-tricks and all that. Parrott staying.
Scored last night as well for Europe.
For Ireland.
In injury time. Yeah.
Beat Hungary or something, yeah? And right at the end of the game as well. So that tells me Parrott staying, Skip staying, and obviously the 2 goalkeepers, Austin and Whiteman, are staying. So we know that. Other releases at Arsenal, I don't know how well like Cedric Suarez was playing. We all looked at him a few seasons ago. I don't know how old he is now or what. I know he's
31.
What? Sorry?
31.
Too old for Ange, then.
And Elneny's 32.
And Ange's sort of looking for players anything from 2021 to max 26, isn't he? You know. I mean, if we've
You
got
think, unless it was like a big name.
well, you can have an older defender, can't you? Central defender or an older goalkeeper, because they don't have to. The two central defenders don't have to run around as much as ours do to save us goals, like. But yeah, so they can go on longer. You know, you've got Varane who's been released and all that. You know, as he must be coming up for his 52nd birthday or something. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, so it does make sense. I'm not up in arms, I suppose. That you know that people are ill-informed Spurs fans or misinformed are probably going, oh, typical league, we'll let Tanga go for nothing. No, he's got to be on a minimum at 40 grand. I would have thought he'd been on more than that. I thought he'd be on about 50, 55 to 60 actually. But I'm just being at 40 grand. You get rid of him. It's just not worth paying the wages because he's another number in the squad, and you want 25 of who you want. So he's trying to clear out the loans and what we consider the deadwood. I wish him and Sessegnon all the best. I really do, though, you know. And yeah, so yeah, no, good. It's good. I mean, Perisic and Dyer were gone anyway. So we've got rid of two. We got rid of Sessegnon and Tanganga. Really.
Well, the list today said all four players. Colin, what are your thoughts on it, mate?
Well, I mean, it was it was about time. You know, those players' careers were coming to an end. I like Adrian's point about what we were paying Tanganga versus what we could realistically get for him. That is a good point, and I'm sure they did factor that in. It was a gamble. I mean, keeping Tanganga and hoping that a club came in to buy him was a gamble that probably would have just eventually cost us money. So I'm glad, like Adrian said, that we just let him go and we didn't renew. Sessegnon, same, sad. But this kind of does lead me to think that maybe there was like credence to the whole Kyle Walker-Peters and Marcus Edwards
I'm going to come to that in a minute. At the moment, we're talking
and
about
if you look at it as well,
hold on. At the moment, we're talking about the termination list from today. Right. I'm going to move on to the other stuff. I will move on to the other stuff that you're going towards now, and Adrian went towards yesterday. I'm going to lean towards that in a minute. But first of all, I'm just talking about the four names. I
just wanted to add a bit to the wages just before you move on. If you say Sesseg's on $2 million a year, and so was Tanganga, you multiply that by 50, $2 million a week. That's £200 million you're saving a year in wages on those two players. £200 million.
I don't know, but they're not on $2 million a week.
Yeah, I was going to say, hold on.
Sorry. It's what, $2 million a year? Sorry, I'm talking crap. Move on. Go on.
Okay, right. So, yeah. So, what I was trying to get to is that some of the fan base, right, we're talking about we need change culture, change the team, change the players, change the squad. We're talking about all this. Today it happens where you retain this is the first part of that. And Adrian, as you pointed out as well, you know, they would have looked at salaries and stuff like that. But the fact is that, okay, we lost two players on loan at the start of in the winter window, but they've now been taken off the list. So Dyer's no longer on the list, and neither is Perisic. But two other players got moved on today. So when you had a squad of 32, that brings your squad down to 28 now. But then four players gone. All right. Now, what it opened up for me, and I know you've been talking about this recently, Adrian, but it's opened up something else for me. But before I go on to that, just want to make sure that we don't lose his chat. So Danny's saying, notice Joe Rodon wasn't on that retained list. The retained list is a list of players. What they call the not retained. The not retained list is the people that haven't been retained. Anyone that's on the retained list would have remained at the club. So Rodon is still a Tottenham player. So he's been retained. He's not been retained. The people that were retained today were the ones that have not been retained, right? So that's why. Sam is saying, why wasn't Ender Bailey's contract not ripped up too? Hopefully that's next. That could well be. It's a talking point that we can have. When I said Dominic Ball earlier, it was one of the players from, it might have been Ipswich or someone I said. Edem saying he's an ex-Spurs player. David Clark says it's come out that Eze does have a get-out clause, and if Levy's serious about pushing this club to the next level, then he has to pay the money that Palace wants, even if it means less to spend elsewhere. Daniel Coy says, if Martial ends up at Tottenham, I'm telling you now, that will bloody trigger to beyond return. about 5 million was the best we were getting for Tanganga. Edem is saying, as an academy player, there will be compensation plus a future transfer. Daniel Coy saying, here we go again, Troy Parrott. David Clark says, so if Spurs shift 11 players and we buy 5 players, how does that make the squad stronger? We may have 5 better players than the ones sold, but where's the depth? The depth comes in from your under 21s. I've said it so many times. And we'll carry on because I'm going to speak about this a bit further. Shots fired by Adrian there. Daniel Coy says, because Parrott scored some goals in relegation playoff and Poxy international friendly, that means we ain't getting rid of the Dutch league. It's his level. No surprise Jansen done well there. Brian Maguire, good afternoon, Brian. I hope you're well. Says, any Spurs news? And then DC says, it's not about these 4 players, which I agree. That is a good thing that they've gone. It's about the years of this happening. Right, so, Adrian, what it's opened my eyes up to, and I know you've been speaking about it for some time now, Adrian, right, is the problem that we now have with the homegrown academy trained quota for next season. As people may or may not be aware, what you've got is Tottenham have to concentrate on 2 squads for next year. One for the Premier League, which is a squad of 25, and one for Europa League, which is 25. The difference is you can have 17 foreign players, up to 17 foreign players in your squad, and you can have 8 English players in that squad for the Premier League over the age of 21. You can have 8 players. That makes your 25-man squad. Any of the under 21s automatically can be part of that squad, but don't have to be nominated.
No, and with also, Europe, go on. The 4 Europe, academy. Go on.
Yeah, with Europe, you've got 25 player squad again. No more than 17 foreign nationals. You can have 8 players that have got to be English, but 4 have to be academy trained. And academy trained means that they would have been at your club, trained by your club, and you've come through the ranks. And it has to be over 3 years
before you're 21.
Before you're 21, and
3 years before your 21st birthday.
Yeah, and at that state, Tottenham currently only have 4 players left in the squad, which is Whiteman, Austin, Parrott, Skip. Why? I don't know. Scarlett must be too young then, because I thought Scarlett would have been on that list as well. But Scarlett obviously turns 21 beyond the dates or whatever.
He may. I'm not sure about Scarlett. I've got to be honest.
I think because there's a cut-off date. I think it's the 1st of January 2003. I think it is, or something like that. Is the cut-off date? So his birthday must be just before that, because he doesn't count. For every report I've seen and everything I've read, Scarlett doesn't count as part of the homegrown academy quota, the 4-player quota. He doesn't count as part of that. So basically, but by getting into Europe, Tottenham have got Tottenham, as well as all the other clubs in Europe, have got stricter guidelines in order to prepare a squad for Europe, where in the Premiership it's just 8 players.
Scarlett's born 24th of March 2004, so he's 20.
Okay, so that's why Scarlett isn't included. Scarlett may not. I don't even know where Scarlett makes the homegrown next season then, because he's not making it this year. So
he will make it for footballer. I know that. I've seen enough.
Okay, so you've got 4 players there. Now, like Adrian has said before, and I'm putting 2 to 2 together here, and I don't want to get 17 by putting 2 and 2 together. But you've got Whiteman, Austin, Parrott, Skip, right? They're the 4 that you've got, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what Whiteman's doing there, because to me, he can be a pawn. So if they get rid of him, I can then see why. If they say they got rid of him and Skip, right, or they got Whiteman and Parrott, two of them 4, you're going to keep Brandon Austin, and you're going to keep one of Skip or Parrott. I can then see why Tottenham are being linked with Walker Peters and Marcus Edwards, because they might not be the ideal players for you, but they will be an upgrade. They would be an upgrade on the homegrown players you've got already. So if you imagine bringing Walker Peters or Edwards back, they'll take up a spot in the squad, but they'll be far more beneficial to your squad than Whiteman is at the moment, the goalkeeper.
And he was born 2nd of October 1998. So he's got to be
25.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so is Brandon Austin. Brandon Austin's 25 as well. They're both 25 years of age. So therefore, I can understand now why the club have had or been looking towards players that we've previously trained at the club to meet that quota just for Europe. Now, all the other players, we've got an abundance of English players in the squad, but so that becomes your A squad. In Europe, you can have a B squad, and the B squad are all your under 21s. Yeah.
Right.
Are all your under 21s is your B squad. So people like Donnelly's, your Mikey Moores and people like that, they can be your B squad. What I've noticed as well, Adrian, is what you can also do is if Tottenham were really banging trouble, right, with the homegrown quota, if they promoted someone like Donnelly to the A list, he would count as homegrown academy trained. But then that means you're taking him off your B list, and that means it'll always be on your A list.
He's 19, Donnelly. He's 19.
His name's Donnelly, not Donnelly.
Donnelly.
Just putting you right, Donnelly.
From Northern Ireland. He's brought in as a striker, and then Wayne Burnett's converted to
Donnelly.
But he's done three.
Great player. Great player.
He's done 3 years. Scarlett is another one. You could promote Scarlett from the B squad, the B list, to the A list as well, because he's done 3 years.
Yeah.
So these are the things that Tottenham have got to measure up and what they're going to do now going forward, and it's going to be a hard juggle.
What I would do is put the B list as the A list because they're better. They're better players.
I personally, I hope
the A list.
I don't want Carl Walker-Peters. I wish him well in his career. He's probably about 25 now. He won the Mini World Cup or something with England, playing on the left as left back. He can play left back and right back. But look, I like my defenders to be units. I like them to be 6 foot and 6 foot plus.
Well, then Poro's not that though.
I know, but I don't see. To me, Porro to me
wasn't big, and he was fantastic.
Porro is bigger than Kyle Walker-Peters, so for sure.
Yeah,
so.
he's 5'10".
Yeah.
But
yeah, I hear you, Adrian. I was just being. No,
that's fine. It's fine. I know he isn't, but then
he's a bloody brilliant defender.
But I know what you're saying.
There are small defenders. Danny Rose wasn't big, and he was a brilliant defender.
He was surprising.
You don't have to have them big.
What I mean is, we had the choice. We were going for two, and we thought they were both equal. And one was 6'2", and one was 5'10". I want the 6'2" guy.
Centre half and the centre like central. Say right centre back and the centre back and the left centre back. Have them big, but the actual wingers, they have to be agile and small. That's what I've always seen.
If you can have bigger units throughout your squad, I like the idea. I mean, even young Bergvall, when he comes in, he's 6'2", so he'll be able to come back and defend corners. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but Lucas Moura was only 5'8", and he can jump higher than all of them.
Yeah.
So with what I was saying, bring it back to what I was saying, right? We're going off topic now about tall people and short people and wide people, and whether you're whether you got 3 inches down or whether you got 8 inches, it doesn't really matter. We're talking about the retained list, the retained list. But Adrian, that's why, like I said, I now get why Tottenham, or sorry, I'm not saying they are, but I now get why we're getting links from tiered in the nose.
Yeah, I agree.
Are linking us to people like Walker-Peters and Marcus Edwards. I can understand why now when I look at what we've got left behind in the academy trained.
Even Madueke at Chelsea would qualify as a homegrown player for us if Chelsea had to sell him. And he looks a decent player that I've seen of him, the winger.
And because he's exactly that, because he's decent, we're not going to get him. Chelsea won't sell him.
No.
He likes to take a penalty, and he's not allowed to take it because they gave it a Cole Palmer, and he threw up the strop, didn't he?
He did.
That was really funny.
I think that if we assume that, I'm getting off topic, I just want to drop this or say this and then I'll stop. But to me, Marcus Edwards seems like a break glass in case of emergency replacement for Eze. I feel like the club's going all in on Eze or a player of similar quality. And then Edwards, is like the fallback guy, and partially because he would fit into this list, this club trained homegrown
He's
list.
been dropped for the latter part of the sporting season, Edwards.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying he's good at all. Like, I'm not saying that he's good enough. I'm not saying
he's skillful. He's got loads of skill. Don't get me wrong. He's
always
very
has.
It's
Yeah,
attitude. It's the attitude, isn't it? Like at Spurs, early doors, they didn't like his attitude, and there's certain things that he was doing that they didn't approve of, so they shipped him off to Norwich, and even the Norwich manager shipped him back to us.
This is a positive. You keep these 4 and you keep Skip back on top, because it means that as soon as any of them academy players reaches 21, the pathway for them to be in the first team squad is going to be already there.
Why do we wait?
Because we can only get more academy home trained players from the academy.
Yeah, but why are we waiting to 21? If you're good enough, you're in.
No, because for Europe, 4 of your academy trained players have to have done 3 years at the academy before they were 21.
Right, okay, I understand that, but for the Premiership, that rule doesn't apply.
No, it doesn't apply.
No, you just got to have 8 players. You can have 8 players of English and 17 up to 17 foreign players.
Yeah.
So the same rule applies in the Premiership, that you've got to have 17 foreigners and 8 English trained players. But in Europe, it's the same thing. 17 foreign players, but of your 8 English players, 4 over the age of 21, 4 must be academy trained.
Yeah, so they're putting an 8 on it as well.
Unless you're bringing up a player taking a player off the B list and making him an A list player.
Right.
Someone like Scarlett, they could do it with someone like Scarlett. But it tends me to think, I can now understand why all the links are coming in for Carl Walker-Peters and Edwards, because you've got players like Alfie Whiteman, who's a reserve to a reserve goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Because if you've got, at the moment, you've got 3 keepers at the club. You've got Vicario, Forster, and Austin. Where does Whiteman fit into all this? He doesn't. So if you get rid of him, you have to bring in another academy trained player just to replace him.
Yeah.
Just Gunter,
isn't it?
But no, I'm talking about for the UEFA list. Just to replace him, you're going to have to bring another one in. If you're getting rid of either Parrott or Skip, that means you're going to have to bring another one in.
Yeah.
So that's the conundrum that Tottenham face this summer and what they're going to do. They may stick with the 4 that we're talking about now, and they may not even get Edwards.
They will.
And remember, right? Eze started at Arsenal, didn't he? I think Elise was at Man City. Now, I just saw in the chat. That's why I'm bringing it up. Eze similar to Edwards. In what way? Both on different planets, right?
But Eze didn't get academy trained at Tottenham.
Yeah.
No, I know that. I'm not mentioning it because of that. Because I'm saying Eze similar to Edwards. In what way? Both on different planets. Is David Clark saying that Eze is far superior to Marcus Edwards?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Isn't he?
But no one's disagreeing or agreeing with that.
I'm not disagreeing with that either, because Eze is.
Yeah, but what we're saying is you need to be academy trained. So that the fact that Marcus Edwards was academy trained at Tottenham, if Tottenham purchased him back, he would count as academy trained. Even though he's been at another club for 3 years, he would still count as academy trained. So would Carl Walker-Peters. Hence why, and Adrian just said now, someone like Madueke would have been academy trained at Tottenham, but Chelsea wouldn't sell him. But so what you're doing is you're improving your academy trained players just to suit one cup competition.
I know.
If Tottenham in Europe every year, then they've got to make sure that they've got them 4 academy trained players in the team.
I love that rule. I really like that rule. I really do. Because it forces a pathway for academy players at any club. It forces a pathway.
Yeah, but if we're bringing 2 players that were in our academy, you're taking 2 places away from another 2 who could have made it.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Who've been more loyal because they've stayed at the club and had their head down. And if I was in the academy now, I'd think, why? They're going to get Marcus Edwards back and Madueke if he comes, right, to fill my spot. I would feel really aggrieved.
They won't be.
Edwards and Carl Walker. I'd only take Madueke only because he could do a job on the right for us.
But Ellie, they wouldn't be taking somebody else's spot because when the players reach 21 years of age, then they will automatically become academy trained players for us.
Yeah, but what
So
if they're 19?
they're not academy trained. They're not deemed to be academy trained. They're on the B list. They're not on the A list.
Yeah,
And
but
on the B list,
they say they were 19 and they'd been academy trained for more than 3 years.
yeah, but they'll be on our right. So with the Premiership, your squad, your 25 player squad is your A list, and
Yeah.
all your under 21s that can pad up the squad are on your B list. So these
Right.
youngsters you're talking about, they're on our B list. They won't go onto our A list until they're 21. So they can
Okay.
still play. They can still play in Europe then under 19. So if Donnelly can still play in Europe and stuff like that, just that they're not on the A list. On the A list, you've got 4 academy trained players
Right.
over the
Okay,
age of
I'm with you.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Jose.
Cool.
I finally got it.
lovely. So
Lobos,
basically,
I say it in Greek.
yeah. So basically, what I was trying to say is I can understand just why we've got links with other players at the moment. Simple.
Yeah.
So and then the other. Let me just catch up with what we were just saying. So you got good afternoon from Paul G. Good afternoon, Paul. I hope you're well. David Clark says I've been on most Premier League podcasts, and I swear it's only Spurs fans who talk about its homegrown players. Nobody ever falls foul of this rule because they've probably got loads of academy trained players at other clubs, and you just don't hear about it. But they've got them. Everyone's got them. Just that we've always had them. We had 8, didn't we, Adrian? At one stage, we had about 8 of them, didn't we, at the start of the season? But slowly but surely, we've got rid of them. Now that we're down to 4, that's why it's now an issue.
Well, Tanganga and Sessegnon would have been 2.
That takes you to 6, and we had 2 previous ones as well that we've got rid of, and I can't remember they were. Got rid of others.
Mundell was one of them, wasn't he?
No, but Mundell wasn't 21, and he hadn't he wasn't in the on an A list for Tottenham.
Okay, so that's now you're
Harry Kane was one.
Yeah,
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane was.
Would Winks would have been one, wouldn't he?
Winks was another one. That's the other one. There's your own. So last year we had 8, so it was never issued, Dave Clark. But this year we've only got 4 now. That's why it's now become an issue for us.
And if you break the rule, you lose a player or something. There's like you can't have the 25-man squad. You then got a 24-man squad or a 23. I'm not sure of that rule, but if you're under, you get penalised by having a player or 2 taken off your squad.
Oh my God, it's getting complex, isn't it? Why don't they make football simple? Like just have 25 players go and kick a ball.
Why don't you have a 22-man squad instead of 25?
Or it's actually 11 against 11. If it was 25 versus 25, I think it would be really complex then. I would like to watch it.
So what we've got our Destiny 5 says Parrott has nearly scored as many goals as Jimenez in the same league.
Yes.
He says rather give Parrott a chance than sign Tony. Daniel Coyes is saying our homegrown quota is bloody terrible. All the eyes on, wasn't there talk of Sarr becoming homegrown next season? There was, but in all the lists that I've seen, Sarr is down as a foreign player.
Right, yeah.
I think he qualifies as home. See, the European rule is a bit of a moot point. If you're registered with your club and you do 3 years, it's the fact that he's loaned out to France for 3 years, he's registered as a Spurs player.
Yeah.
My understanding of that rule was that he's now classed as homegrown, right? Now, the moot point is whether he's academy homegrown and he's under 20 anyway, so he was only 20 and all that. So he's probably coming up to the fact that after this season, I think he qualifies as homegrown.
Yeah, he does.
I
was
I was debating someone else. I said yes, he should be, and someone else no. And I went and looked at the rules, and like, I couldn't get my head around these rules and come out and conclusive say.
You wanted to know what's for dinner, innit? Do you know what? It's so complex, football. Now you've got VAR coming in with their new system, isn't it, or their new high-tech system.
Yeah, I'm glad that's the offside rule. We'll be out to cheer goals now for a change. But we come on, get that Sozy, we're off track.
Yeah, Ellie, you're getting a hello from Drew Lala. DC says Donnelly is an excellent young player. He's the only one ready to come into the first team squad. David Clark says KWB can defend though, but I still don't want him. Daniel Coyes is saying, Daniel Coyes is saying we could do a lot worse than Carl Walker-Peters. His versatility would be important.
True, that is true.
JBG, afternoon.
Johnny Bethnal Green.
You've read out David Clark's already. Daniel Coyes, that's what I was about to say about Edwards. Is more better on the right than Eze is more on the left side. Yeah, both can play attacking midfield, but Edwards is more of a right winger. They ain't the same. You got Colin saying hello to JBG because I'm only just catching up with the chat now.
It's because we chat a lot.
He says, David Clark says, there is no panic on homegrown players. The management makes sure that we don't break the rule every season, so calm down.
Yeah.
And Miss Cullen is in the house saying hello to everyone in her imitable way. David Clark says, name me a club that has broken this rule because I don't know any. That's why I'm saying there isn't a problem. Nita says the two youngest that scored for Man U in the cup was playing in the academy for 5 years together. Look at them now.
I know.
And
they've won an FA Cup medal as well.
And then you got
we haven't done that since 1991. They've done it in 1 year, 5 years, sorry.
Right. So with saying that, like I said, to me, I think there's an issue. David Clark doesn't seem to think there's an issue. The issue is not there, David. If we stick with the 4 players we've got, then there's no issue because we've got 4 players. But for me, Alfie Whiteman has taken up a spot that could be given to someone else.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to say.
He's never going to make it, is he, Jose? He's not going to make it. So just ship him out and get someone from that.
I feel like we're paying him to train and to be the training keeper, basically, just for like it's sad, but that's his entire role. I mean, is training. Like all he ever does is train with the team. It's got to be a pretty sweet life.
He's had loans in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
True, he has.
Actually,
he did fairly well.
I did read a couple of reports that they were. I mean, like Austin was injured at the time, and I did read a couple of reports that said like the coaches were impressed with him in training. So who knows?
With who? Whiteman or Austin?
Whiteman.
Okay, because you just said Austin. I was thinking, so I'm sure he's talking about Whiteman.
Yeah.
It's weird. Austin's got. I mean,
I haven't. Look, I watched the academy games. I ain't seen nothing of Whiteman for ages. I think the last time I might have seen him was back when Devine got the game against Marine in the FA Cup. I think he was in goal then. I'm not sure. Wouldn't swear on it.
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because if I was Whiteman, I wouldn't like that. Like to be at a club all that time and not actually play a game.
Some people like you and I wouldn't, but I also think that some people, I mean, like I was saying, it's a sweet life. Like you get to train with some of the best players in the world. You might not be quite at that level, but they're paying you good money, and your friends are probably there with you. You know what I mean? So it's like I could see why a person would do it, but it's not
some players know their limitations, don't they, Colin? That's what probably is. Now, happy to sit on the bench for a fat wage,
For a great team, he could go play for a team that's a lower team for sure, but he would rather be with his friends, the people that he's known for years, at the best grounds, best training grounds in the whole world, and all this stuff. I could see the appeal. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I see it.
But the Austin 5-year contract, that baffled me a bit because I've been going on. It don't say a lot for Austin and Whiteman when you give Forster another year's extension to the end of the year. I mean, I thought that was because Keeley was out on loan. They're getting him experience because he's going to come in as Viccario's number 2. He may still be Viccario's number 2, and Austin might just be being kept because of the homegrown issue. But then would you give him a 5-year contract because within that 5 years, our under 21s would have progressed in age groups, and there'd be more available to fill the academy homegrown trained quota. So it's got me going a little bit, actually.
I just think we've got to be more harsher because all right, you're sitting there, you're with your mates. Sorry, Colin, but I don't disagree with you entirely, but I just think if you're a professional footballer and you're not playing the game you love, that you're not playing the game that you love, and you're just hanging out with your mates and training and having a good time and picking up your wage. I don't know. I love playing football myself, and I can't see myself doing that.
It's not how I would act.
If I wasn't good enough and I'm picking up a paycheck of 40,000, I would think I want to play. I want to play for more money and prove myself somewhere else that do think I'm a good enough player. You know, I just feel like he's wasted his career. I don't know how old he is now, but he's been with us so long. He's probably been with us more than Davies. You know,
close,
or close. I just feel sorry for him in a way, but in another way, I feel, don't you have any ambitions?
Right, he's doing it to himself. He's chosen that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But Jose, you were saying that we've got a spot that's being wasted on, backup goalkeepers or people that are never going to see the pitch.
Yeah, that's my belief, Colin. But what I'm saying is, it opens my eyes to. I mean, Colin, we've spoken about it, so many shows that we do. Ellie, you're aware of this as well. So many shows that we do that and I keep saying and repeating that we're going to be linked to. We're going to be linked to, from when I first started saying it, I said up till the window opens, and I thought the window opened on the 1st of June. And when I was saying all this, now that it opens 2 weeks later, what's 14 times 4 times 14 is 56. So there's an extra 56 players that we'll be linked with in the month of June before the window opens up. So that makes it 456 players that we'll be linked with. Now, when I see the links with these players, like I said, Walker Peters and Marcus Ennis, I can now understand why. Now that I've seen that we're down to 4, I can understand why. Now, so with change and with improving the squad, were we right or wrong to do what we did today as a club?
Yes, we were right, because obviously Tanganga, Sessegnon, and who was the other player we let go?
Perisic and Dyer.
Perisic and Dyer, they had already gone anyway. Because Tanganga was on loan to Millwall, and he hasn't played for 100 years.
Dyer was loaned to Bayern Munich, and Perisic was on loan to Hajduk.
Yeah, but then I was of the understanding that Dyer was going to sign.
I thought it was a permanent as well. So
right. So either way, I think we've done the right thing, because they're not good enough to play. They're not fit enough to play, because Tanganga's got a bad back. It's well documented that his back has gone, but he still passes medicals, but he's still not good for purpose. He's not fit for purpose. And Norris Sessegnon, although I loved it when he came to the club, because what we saw at Fulham was bloody brilliant. And then he came to us, and then he's been a crock for about 90% of the time. And I really do feel for him, because he is a talent. But he's just
playing with fear or something. There's no belief in himself. It's all gone. Every bit of self-confidence he had, I feel like, is just out the window.
Injuries set you back. And, as a footballer myself, when I was playing, I had a lot of injuries. But you soldier on. But with him, he couldn't soldier on, because his injuries were so bad. And then when he did get into the team, he got injured again very shortly after. So it was like one disaster after disaster for him. And I really feel for the boy, because he's a talented footballer. No doubt that he's a talented footballer. It's just the injuries held him back, and he's never gonna. He might get a break later on in his career if he can keep himself fit. So I think wholeheartedly we made the right decision. You're on mute.
So what I was saying is, and Colin's answer, and so is Adrian, Ellie, is that with the fan base, we're all saying of how we're not ruthless enough, how we need change, and we need to start making. We still need to make judgment calls. We need to change things and stuff like that. And today, okay, you said about Dyer and about Perisic. You thought, to you, they'd already left the club, and to most of us, they'd already left the club.
Yes.
But officially, they were on loans, so that's why they've not been retained today. But with Tanganga and with Sessegnon, Tottenham chose not to extend their contracts, because they had an option of a further year on both of them.
Yeah.
They chose not to do that. Had they chosen to do it, I was just merely pointing out, had they chosen to do it, then and try to sell them this summer, they may have got a little bit of money for them. So have we made the right decision in not offering them that further year and getting rid of them now? Or should they maybe have Adrian's already given us a comment as to what his thoughts are. But what do you think? Are we on the right path by what we did?
Yeah, I think we are, because we have to be ruthless. It's like any business. If you've got 2 workers in your employment and they're not pulling their weight, or they're always sick, and, you know, it's a business at the end of the day. Spurs are a football club, but we're also a business. So we have to look at where we're going to chop and bring in other players who are going to serve our purpose. We can't be holding their hands all throughout their career and paying them good wages and, you know, not moving forward. I think this is a very good step for the club. It might not be a good step for the players themselves because they're going to be shipped out. But at the end of the day, they've made a judgment call. And I think you sometimes have to be ruthless. And we've always not been ruthless. And the fan base has gone into meltdown about it. You know, we've kept on players that we shouldn't have kept on, that weren't good enough. And, you know, they might be good enough, but they're not good for purpose because they're both injured all the time. Tanganga was injured for a lot of the time. And also, he has got a bad back, which is well documented. So I'm glad the club have come to their senses and cut their contracts a year short. You know, it might sound ruthless by me, but sometimes in business you have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said.
So what Adrian was saying, right, is that someone like I don't know, did you refer to Tanganga or Sessegnon being on 40 grand a week?
Both, really, both.
Okay.
They're going to be a minimum of 40
if they were on
grand.
40 grand a week, Ellie, that means we would have had to pay them a salary of 2.5 million for the year.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. So even if you sold them for 5 million,
yeah,
if you sold them for 5 million in the transfer window, then you wouldn't have paid them that 2.5 million in wages. But if you took the risk on signing them for a further year and they didn't get signed by someone else, then you've got to pick up 2.5 million in wages.
Yeah.
So
and the humanitarian side of me would love to have kept them at the because they've tried their best to be, you know, fit for purpose, but it hasn't worked out for them. But you do feel for the players from your heart because they're footballers and they want to play. But at Spurs, they're a spent fools because they won't be fit for purpose until much later in their careers. Sessegnon's had so many setbacks, so many serious injuries that I don't think the boy he'll probably play again. And good luck to him because he was a talented boy. When we bought him, I was so excited. Because I thought this boy can play. And Tanganga, that first game when I saw him against Liverpool, he played out of this world. He was fantastic. And then it just went to pot from there. So, yeah, I do agree with the club's decision. You know.
Yeah, there's also the added thing that Tanganga didn't suit Ange Ball. And as we've got young centre-halves coming in, you've got Dorrington and Phillips coming, Voskovic at the end of the season. So I think definitely Tanganga, he did give Sessegnon a try. He did like the look of him, but they just probably think, nah, we can't. You can't wait around for these players to start performing. You have to plan for a future without them, and that's what. Yeah. And they're doing that, and I think it's good. And I think it's good to be ruthless with them. And I hope they both have great careers. I really do.
Yeah, but, I wish them really well because they're 2 lovely lads. I've not met Tanganga, but I've seen Sessegnon around, and he's so lovely to speak to, you know. And I wish him well in his career because he was one of those players. I thought, yes, you know, I was very excited to see him play.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm curious to know
what's happened. There was a lot of hype around him.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what's happened to Sessegnon's brother Stephen. Because he was a right back, and I like
at Fulham for a while. Yeah,
and I
think he went on loan. I think he got loaned out from Fulham to Charlton, didn't he, last season?
I don't know.
I would believe it.
I think he was loaned out to Charlton.
Jude Bellingham and Joe Bellingham. Joe Bellingham's at Sunderland. Jude Bellingham's at Real Madrid.
So
but normally, if there are people in your family that are professional athletes, I don't know why it happens like that, but. Genetics, obviously, you share the same genetics as a world-class athlete, but so many families have. I mean, Eden Hazard and like his 2 brothers that all play, and
I know.
It's wild.
Like
It's
me,
wild.
I'm the girl of my family. I'm the best footballer, obviously.
Well, yeah, of course.
My brothers can't touch me.
Catch up with the chat. You got sorry, Mr. M saying Ledley King is live on Talk Sport now.
Oh, lovely. Oh,
Dang,
my
we'll probably watch that on repeat because it's not as good as this show. Hit the like, everybody.
You know what I mean? You're watching the gang here.
Nita's saying the best move I've seen last season was Palmer's parents getting him out of Man City.
Yeah.
Daniel Coy. So I suppose Daniel and David Clark, you've been talking about what you guys have been talking about, the goalkeeper situation. Just a harmless potato saying good afternoon to all of us, but named me twice and then realised Adrian. He's got Adrian in there. And then he's
both those guys.
And then he's told himself off. By the way, so yeah. Good afternoon, just a harmless potato. Thank you very much for being here. And
I love your picture.
The round table talk. He keeps changing his name. He's changed it again.
I feel like this is the final iteration. I don't know. Okay. I haven't talked to him about that, but I feel like it seems like a good one.
So round table talk is Nick, our good friend Nick. Good afternoon, Nick. Hope you're well. Sorry, good morning to you, Nick. I hope you're well. Says the like button looked at me funny, so I smashed it. I thank you very much. And I've got one of your crowd in here. Mike Oxmess Grimm.
What a good-looking fella he is.
It says, as we're being ruthless and getting rid of the next one on the chopping block, it's a waste of space, Hoiberg. The sooner he's gone, the better.
I think he's trying to. I'm not going now.
Yeah.
I got into trouble.
And Daniel Coy says an exception actually, Colin, mate. Both the Boer brothers were good.
Yeah, they were.
So
Ronald and Frank.
Is there a mole in the house?
Right. So earlier on, I think Adrian said that he hasn't been really busy today, so he hasn't seen any of the news. Is that what you said to me earlier, Adrian?
Yeah. I haven't gone through my news feeds yet.
Okay. So last word on Spurs 2 hours ago, right? Because I put this up just before we came on. So just before we came on, for some reason, when did we start the show? Past. Okay, so we've been on for an hour. So it'd been on for an hour, but now it's gone to 2 hours because obviously I've been on this show. This is the latest. Emerson Royale has reached an agreement to join AC Milan.
Good.
Oh.
Milan are now actively working to find an agreement with Tottenham, who are demanding 20 million euros.
That's
right,
I'm
going to send Nick Collison an AC Milan shirt with Royale on the back.
That was the number I was always saying, but I was thinking pounds.
Yeah, I was thinking pounds as well, Colin, but this says 20 million euros for the defender this summer who's determined to join the club. Now, last one, Spurs have retweeted this because it's come from the Gazzetta Italy.
Yeah.
He said that story.
You were breathing a bit funny there.
Sorry?
You okay?
I'm fine.
Oh, good. No, because you were breathing your breath.
Sound like you had a hiccup or something.
I might have had a hiccup as I was talking, but if I did, I've totally ignored it. So
You're right.
I'm trying to. So that's the news coming out of that. There was news as well about Lo Celso again today.
Right.
I'm trying to find where it was.
In for him?
The Saudi clubs have bid for him, but he's told Saudi he don't want to go there at all.
No, he's still got life in him.
But that Real Betis are looking at him. And that Real Betis have been supposedly quoted 20 million euros again from Tottenham, and they're saying no, they can't afford it.
No, they're going to pay too.
And at the end of the day, the question is, and I'll ask you the question, Adrian: if Tottenham said 20 million, that's the price, then are Tottenham in the right to Tottenham in the right to wait for 20 million for him because the player is worth 20 million?
Yeah. A fit Lo Celso is worth double that. I mean, maybe a bit more. If the only reason McAllister got in that World Cup winning side was because Lo Celso was injured because he gets on well with Messi. Lo Celso did, and he'd have been in that team. And if McAllister can go for a fixed price to Liverpool from Brighton for what was it, about 36 mil, was it? Well, Lo Celso's worth the same, in my opinion, and I think Real Betis are strong in it. But this is paper talk, right? So Spurs might go and add-ons as well and sell on feet as well. I think that's a common thing for all transfers now. So, So, no, I think Real Betis are taking a mick here. He is and in a less strenuous league, he should be less injury prone as well.
Yeah. And Colin, what are your sorry? I'll come to you early in a minute because Colin hasn't spoken for a while.
Okay.
Colin, so in your thoughts, if they're saying they want 20 million for him, are Tottenham right to look out for 20 million? Is the player worth 20 million? What are your thoughts, mate?
Lo Celso, absolutely. It's a shame that we haven't been able to see more of him. I think that's obviously something that's going to drive your price down. Is if you don't get in the team, if you're not playing, if you're not well enough to play, that type of thing. Injury proneness drives your price down. But when he's on the pitch, he does make things happen in the right system. I feel like he could be a menace, an absolute menace. We don't play a system. I don't feel like that suits him. He needs to be able to have a little bit more freedom. I don't know. To me, I don't know. He just hasn't looked like for Argentina. He's a completely different beast.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good player that can make things happen. And 20 million, I think, that's a good price because I think someone will come
away
and pay
from
it.
Man City from the edge of the box. He scored in the 3-3 draw. And also, just reverse it a bit. Could you buy a Lo Celso for 20 million euros? Could you? Damn, you couldn't. Could you? You just couldn't do it. It's not possible.
Yeah. So I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think if you asked for that, then you would be absolutely within your right to wait for it.
They should be
and what are your thoughts?
enough.
What are your thoughts, Ellie, on the
Celso,
what I asked, what I said? Tottenham looking for 20 million. Are they right to look for 20 million? Is he worth 20 million?
I think
I bet it's taking the piss.
worth double that, right? Maybe even more, because he's a very talented footballer. He's just not fitted into every manager's plans, has he? Like every manager that he's had, and you've got to start looking at the player then, because every manager can't be wrong. But then the player, you know, he goes to Argentina, he plays very well, he's very well liked there. It just seems like he's a bad fit for Spurs. When I see him walking into training, he seems very happy, and he's with the Latin American boys, and he's having a good old chinwag, and he seems happy. But then he's not chosen for the team, and he must be thinking, what do I have to do to get into this team? Because it's not as if we've got an overly talented midfield, have we? We've got fairly decent midfielders, but they're not like top notch. And I think Lo Celso must be thinking he's sitting on the bench with a load of other midfielders who are not getting a chance. And he's looking at players like Basuma. He's looking at players like Maddison, who hasn't performed, and he doesn't get in. He still doesn't get in. And he'll get maybe 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So it must rock his confidence. You know, I don't think he's done enough when he has been given a chance. In regards to when I go back to Pochettino years, he wasn't even played at the start. We didn't see him for quite a while because he was injured. And then when he did get his chance, he took it, and he was sort of rocking for about at least 15, 20 games. He played really well, and he was impressing me. But then he fell off the wagon. He got injured again, and then he was in and out of the team. Every manager didn't really play him, you know, so I don't know. He's one of those players. He's like, you don't know what you're going to get because we haven't really seen a lot of him in terms of 90-minute play. So it's hard to judge him. When I've seen him play for Argentina, though, he's cooking, you know, and there's been odd games here and there that I thought, wow, what a player, especially when he came on against Manchester City and he scored that really good goal. In the League Cup final, he done pretty well. He was the only player who got a shot on goal as well. I don't know if you remember that we only had one shot on goal in that game, and he was the one. But I just can't form a solid opinion of him because I haven't seen enough of the player to say, yes, we want to keep him. But obviously they don't because they're going to offload him, aren't they? But 20 million, I think it's too little. You know, 20 million euros. What's that? About 17 million pounds?
Yeah.
80 million pounds? So pittance.
Maybe because he's probably got a year left on his contract.
Yeah, I get that. But it's just a shame that he hasn't even.
It'll be a deal. But like everyone in the chat, chat's pointing out, he'll probably go to Spain, which makes sense.
Yeah,
and Spanish teams don't have a bunch of money. So I do see us having to accept a lower fee if we are going to sell him.
So you've got Mike Upmel's Grim saying, goodbye, Royale. Thanks for your service.
I like that. He calls out Højbjerg and then he says, goodbye, Royal. Thanks for your service.
I've been, because I've been
You're
letting
still good
else...
looking, though, Mike.
everyone has been talking and people have been commenting on what you guys have been talking about. Daniel Coyes has been saying that you see Tottenham links again with my guy Openda. Make it happen. David Clark reckons that Spurs are linked to a chain fence. Mike is saying Lo Celso needs to go. We need to get him off the books as soon as possible.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Just a harmless potato says that
Yeah.
McAllister deal. He signed a new contract right before the World Cup with a fixed release fee clause of 35 mil, and Liverpool immediately triggered that clause. Coincidence? The Celso has a still decent reputation in Spain, where he would be able to still pick up decent money. Mike says that nobody's going to pay 40 million plus for Lo Celso.
Not really, they won't.
Betis are trying to take the piss regarding the Celso. 20 million euros is a snip.
I agree.
Yeah. Mike says Lo Celso should have got more. Yeah, Mike says Lo Celso should have been given more game time this past season because Maddison wasn't at it. I'm going to say it that way.
Yeah.
And Ronnie says,
Playing quite well.
Ronnie says, I can't see us getting 20 million for Lo Celso. Attitude seems off, and he's made of glass. Plays a game, then is out for 3 to 4 weeks. Just a harmless potato says, Lo Celso's in his last year. Next summer he can go for free. I would be giving a huge discount for whoever comes to get him. I'd be happy with 15 to 20 mil. But 15 to 20 mil, what you're putting in there, is that pounds? Because if it's pounds, then yeah, that's what we're saying. We're saying you can get about 20 million for him.
It might end up 15 with add-ons, you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
he stays fit, you know what I mean? Or, you know,
The round Nick.
as long as he doesn't break a finger now, you know what I mean? Or something like that.
You're being sarky now, Mr. Schroeder.
The round table's saying, smash the like, it owes you money. Daniel Coy says, we ain't getting serious money off a Villarreal Sevilla for Lo Celso. The best chance would be if their clubs were linked with Atletico Madrid or Real Sociedad. Atletico Madrid, right, were linked with Højbjerg for quite a long time.
I'll put the dampers on that one.
But they won't put the money down. I think when you look at financial fair play in Spain as well, because they got to abide by the rules. If you think of someone like Atletico Madrid, they spent over 100 million euros or pounds or whatever it was on João Felix, and look what happened to him.
Yeah.
He's
Look
been
at
out
the
on
money
loan.
Enzo Fernando at Chelsea. He was another £100 million player.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for Spain. Yeah, but there's money in England, but in Spain there's no money. So when you go and spend 100 million on a plan, it don't work out. Then someone like Atletico Madrid are going to feel the pinch, and they ain't going to be spending money too quick. So they want Højbjerg, but they weren't going to pay the money for Højbjerg. That's why he didn't go last season. And I don't think
Berg and then Højbjerg. You got it right.
It depends on how the deal structured for João Felix was for the club he came from, the other Portuguese club he came from, or whatever. Because like, if they're paying like 15 million a year off of it, they're probably still paying for him, right? But as he's at loan at Chelsea, is he at loan at Chelsea still, João Felix?
Yeah, he was on loan to Chelsea, and then he went over to Atletico Madrid, didn't he?
No, he was their player. He was their player.
Yeah, I thought he was on loan to them.
No, he was their player. They bought him. They bought him. Right, okay. He was the next best thing off of. We were even looking at him. I'm glad we didn't get him. I mean, because like he came from Portugal, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he was. Barcelona were even in for him. So were Real Madrid, but Atletico Madrid went. They give like I think it was 105 or 107 million for him.
It was over 100 million. Over 100 million for nothing. But he's been sent out on loan ever since.
But in fairness to the player, the little I was saying, when I see his goal, I mean, wow, what a player! But then he's an attack player like that. And he goes and plays for Simeone.
I know. It's a bad fit, isn't it?
It's a bad fit. A awful fit. He should go. You know?
Wouldn't he be a good fit for Postecoglou then? As he's an attacking player that plays like a number 10 role. When I saw him for Chelsea, he was always in and around the box, picking it up quite late and then attacking with it. Right, and I quite liked his skill, but I don't think it's the physicality of the Premiership. I don't think a lot.
I think he would work in the Ainge system. I don't know what he's like defensively or whether he presses or not. But no, he'll definitely score goals under Ainge. That would suit him to a T, actually, but
because he can move the ball quickly, he runs off the ball really cleverly. It's not a totally. When we're assessing these players, what I saw of him, he seemed quite good. But then he went to a defensive team.
Yeah.
Doesn't suit him at all.
Well, his chances are going to be limited, and that may have affected his confidence. He probably wasn't.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say though to the comment that and I see that he's commented again, Daniel, right, is that the money is not in Spain. Spain don't have. If you're going to sell players from England, right, and you want players to leave your club, Spain is not a destination that you will look for because you're going to get next to nothing from Spain. They won't be offering the monies.
I get that. Where I disagree with their attitude, they're playing it as if we're paying all the money up front. If you was going to Real Betis and the deal was 20 mil, they ain't giving us 20 mil bang like that.
No.
They might only give us 3 million. Well, they got to pay it over 5 years. So they'd have to give us, if there were no down payment, they'd have to give us €4 million a year, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but
surely they can afford that. You know what I mean?
All Spanish clubs, regardless of who they are, assets or no assets, they ain't giving you the money you're looking for. You'll get more money selling. If your player went to Germany, you'd get better money on strike a better deal and better money if your player went to Germany than if he went to Spain. That's what I'm saying. And in Italy, I think you'll probably get a better price in Germany than what you would if you sold a player to Italy, to an Italian team as well, because these teams just haven't got the money. And
where do all the gate receipts go? All these fans watching them, paying all their money, buying all the shirts. Where's all the money going?
In Spain, it's different. Most of the money goes to Barcelona and Real Madrid because they take, whereas we share out.
They got the lion's share of the TV revenue rights and all that.
They take the lion's share.
But they're still making money from fans and shirt sales and promotions, aren't they?
Yeah, but the deals that they
haven't got no money at all.
No, but the deals that they've struck with the TV companies and that are not. Any league is not like over here because you haven't got the deals with Sky and TNT that you get over here. They are mega. You're talking big billions worth of money. In Spain, it don't reach billions. You're lucky if it reaches a few million on TV rights. You don't get the kind of revenues that you get here in England. You know,
and the other thing you Champions League, they make more money. Like if it's not just Barcelona and Real Madrid each year, if it's another 2 or 1 qualifier, 2 qualifier, 4 of them qualify, then those teams will make more money because they'll be seen more, won't they? There'll be more televised games. But other than that, no, they don't.
And the other thing in Spain is that club structures and club ownerships are different to over here because there are clubs, they call them socios. In Spain, socios own the club. And that means Adrian will have a piece of the club, so will you, Ellie, so would Colin, so would I.
Socios. In Germany, isn't it?
Yeah,
in Germany, fans as well.
You've got fans that own the club. Do you know what I mean? And the prop the club up. It's the fans that do it. So you know, but it's a different structure. But as I'm saying, you won't get if someone offers you, let's say you sold someone for 30 million to a German club, a Spanish club, you're lucky if they're going to give you 20 for him. And an Italian club,
to a Premiership club, then shouldn't we? We should sell him to a Premiership club.
If a Premiership club wanted to pick him up with 20 mil, you could probably get 20 mil from a Premiership club.
I'm sure Villa wanted him at one stage, didn't they? Aston Villa. But I think they're going after Conor Gallagher, aren't they? No,
well, there's newer news on that today, but we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Mike now saying we held on to players far too long. If there's a genuine interest in these players, stop haggling, just get them sold and invest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jose
Sociedad have assets. If they sell one of their assets this summer, they will have money available for themselves. So potentially, Sociedad have assets like Kubo, Zubimendi, and Marino. Though one of them is going this summer, they will have cash surely. But Sociedad are not after our players. It's Real Betis. But saying that, Real Betis are more financially secure than many other teams in La Primera. So it's not Betis have probably got money because they're more secure. But regardless they've got money or not, they're going to play poverty like the rest of the teams in Spain are as well. Just a harmless that says the problem in Spain is that Real Madrid and Barcelona are allowed to sell the TV on their own. They make big money and the rest hardly get anything. Exactly that. Exactly.
They bring in the most money, don't they, for the TV revenue, especially Real Madrid. Barcelona, they're a famous club. Real Sociedad and Real Betis, no disrespect for them, but we don't even get their games in England. But Real Madrid, we get all their games.
So Ellie, you were just about to say to me about Gallagher and Aston Villa, weren't you?
Yeah, like there's links to him, and I'm thinking he doesn't really want to come to Spurs because he'll get vilified if he comes to Spurs. Honestly, he's a Chelsea man through and through. So go to Aston Villa or even Manchester City if they want him, because they're missing that sort of good one player, box to box, brings the ball forward very effectively. He's not the best player, but he's a very good player. You know, I think he can add kudos to any side, and he's a hard-working player, very diligent, and he's focused. That's one thing we've got at Conor Gallagher. You get a focused midfielder who's in the game. He hardly ever slacks off. And a lot of Chelsea fans that I've heard in other podcasts, he splits the fan base with them, but most of them, they do say he works hard, he's diligent, he's focused, and he wants to play for the badge, right? And they compare him to Fernandes. I just think if he goes to Aston Villa, it's going to make them stronger. Yeah, maybe we should get him because we need that type of player. He's not going to be the complete answer. Don't get me wrong. I prefer other players to him, like Kate likes Subamendi. I really do agree with her on that one. I think he's a fabulous player. I think he's better technically than Conor Gallagher. But if we are going to get that type of player, and I know Postecoglou will like him 100%, I think we should put our cards on the table and try and prize him away from any other team that are trying to get him.
So a counter, I'm going to give you a counter, or Adrian's going to give you a counter. Adrian, this news of Villa going for Gallagher, do you think it's a load of tarnish?
I do, and the reason I do is because Emery will have his sights on Spain as well. He knows what the players are like out there. You know, he'll be looking for players that want to come and play for him. But also with Villa, they've got financial fair play issues.
I'm waiting for you to tell me, Adrian. I'm waiting for Adrian to tell me this because I know that Adrian's fully on this on who's in trouble and who ain't. And I know Villa in trouble.
Aston Villa's owners, Aston Villa billionaire owners, they're richer than Levy and Joe Lewis. Wolves owners are also under financial fair play restrictions. They're richer than Tottenham Hotspur, right? Newcastle, they can't spend their money. They're worth 36 billion, right? They can't spend under the rules, right? They've got to sell. Those three clubs got to sell. Chelsea say they're clear. They might be clear on the players they've signed on 8-year contracts, but they've still got, in my opinion, they've still got to sell, right? So City, not so sure about City, but Man United and Liverpool spent quite heavily, and Arsenal have as well. To be honest with you, I think they've all got to spend. When you get these rumours in the different tiers of media that I have to post, I post them but I know because they're a story, but I know, right, Spurs are in such an advantageous position here. If we want to go bang 60 mil for Eze, I know Chelsea are rich, Newcastle are rich, and Man City are rich. They're not going to get. Before we would worry about being in a tug of war, knowing we'd lose out to these teams. Now we have the advantage because we can spend. We can spend, and we will spend in the window. I'm confident we will. We will go big on down payments for players that are, that we want. We could well end up with Danny Almo if he's an Ange type player, or Edison, or Coop Miners, or Morgan Gibbs-White, but he's not box to box. So when I'm umming and ahhing about midfielders we're being linked with, it seems to me that Ange, if he's been on about Gallagher's been all the media talk. What Gallagher is box to box. The only two box to box players we've got are Sarr and Bentancur.
Yeah,
the Sofa isn't really.
No,
and neither is, and Madison definitely isn't.
That's
right?
got the legs.
So this FFP, it's got them. I mean, like they're all strangled. Levy's he's kept the books great over the years. He should have loosened the purse strings a bit more, in my opinion. All I've ever wanted was an owner that will be able to do the maximum we can in a transfer window, and Levy's not done that in the past, right? Would a new owner? If I don't want an investment company, because the clue's in the word investment, it's in the word investment. I'd rather have some rich multi international organisation that come in and buys Spurs and and they're not an investment company. They're buying it because Spurs are a trophy wife to them. Spurs are a jewel in the crown of London.
Like that term.
Yeah, where they can have all their business associates. Because if you're a trillionaire group or company like Google or owned by Alphabet are worth $1 trillion, or you're an Elon Musk or Microsoft, and you were to buy 40% stake in Spurs or the whole club, right? You know they've got money to spend. Right, but also, and you still can only. It doesn't matter how rich they are now, because you still can only spend what the rules allow you to spend, right? So, which is still plenty as far as Spurs are concerned for down payments on players, right? You know, so
yeah.
So basically, Adrian, right? What I was trying to get to is Ellie's saying that the rumours are that Villa have gone in for Gallagher. You've hit the nail on the head that I've got that nail as well, and I hit it in the head as well to say, but Villa ain't got the money. Villa need to sell. Villa are in trouble. So if Villa are in trouble, how are they going to get Gallagher? Now, could this be a lot of one side or another releasing this information to get out there to try and bump the price up, try and start a bidding more that's not there? Do you know what I mean? Because today it's been said. The news today is that Tottenham are going to make a bid imminently for Gallagher. So they're saying a bid's going in very, very soon for Gallagher from Tottenham.
So what does that tell you? To me, it tells me they've had talks. All this rumours about his new contract. That doesn't matter. They were getting to sign a new contract so they get the price they want. What is he worth? He's an England international player, right? The only time I've really seen him play really well was when he was loaned out of Palace and they beat us 3-0 there. And he did play really well on that day. I haven't really watched a lot more of him, but being he's an England international, he's picked for the squad. He's obviously a good player. He's obviously a very good player, right? Does a good job in the Premier League, right? So what's he worth? Well, he's an England player, Chelsea. To me, then, without seeing a great, he's worth 50 mil, right? I think 50 mil, no more.
Yeah.
And I think you get him for 50 mil. You might get him for 45, 40. But I mean, like, in this market, it's deflated. It's a deflated transfer market. See, if other clubs can't spend, that suits Spurs as well. Because then other clubs that want to inflate their prices of players can't do it. If anything, the prices of players would come down 5 mil or 10 mil. Perhaps it's more some.
Is Colin still with us?
I'm not sure.
He's gone quiet and his camera's off.
He must be doing something.
So just want to say, Jessie saying smash the likes up. Thank you, Jess.
Jessie.
Saying Villa don't have a homegrown problem either. I don't believe it that they are in for Gallagher. You've got Daniel Coy saying no set budget though. What's that about? Does not say if there's a lot of cash budget or not a lot. Got the sheriff's here. Good afternoon, the sheriff. How are you, well, mate? And then there's people talking to each other. But a question this has been put there by Nick, right? Ellie, does Gallagher in our squad?
Yeah, he does, because he's a box to box. We haven't really got a box to box apart from Sarr that's 100% fit, because Bentancur came back from injury and we saw the limitations sometimes that he had. He was running out of steam at 60 minutes and he was taken off. Sometimes he was taken off and he didn't like it. But I just see them. He's got legs. He's got a skill set that's not the best, but I would still like him as an addition. Remember, Sarr was injured for a little bit of the season as well, and he's very young. He needs protecting. You can't play Sarr 99% of the time, so he needs a rest as well. And I think Conor Gallagher will be a good fit. Is he the answer? No, but it's a stopgap. Maybe we shouldn't be going for a stopgap. You've got to ask yourselves that, because I think there are better players than Conor Gallagher for lesser money, even.
Okay, so
the one thing
to summarise,
can I just say,
I think we can do better.
Can I just say, can I ask the same question? Because I know Colin's got to go work, and I want Colin to get some say in this. Colin, does Gallagher improve the squad?
I heard my name.
Sorry, I'm just worried that you got to go to work. And so
sorry, no,
I'm not heard you for a while.
No, sorry. I had a big delivery come. Something really cool came in the mail. I'll tell you about it.
Just answering this one: does Gallagher improve the squad, Colin, if we went for him?
Yeah. Yes.
In what terms, mate?
Well, I mean, he offers kind of something in midfield that we don't have a whole lot of, which is like a progressive player. He does well to, he doesn't really evade people. He just kind of, I don't want to say out muscles. He's just good at driving the ball forward and kind of connecting the attack to the defense, or the defense to the attack, I guess. He's more box to box than any of the other midfielders we have. And since I'm so out of breath, I just pushed a huge box up the stairs.
Do you want to take?
I know you're a bit out of breath there,
Give yourself 2 seconds to get your breath back. I'll move on to Adrian.
All right, awesome.
I'll move on.
What Gallagher would do.
What we do for Spurs.
He would improve the system. He would improve the system, whether you're talking about squad or not. So whether you think other players are better than him or not, he would improve Angie's system, definitely, because he's box to box. So,
yeah, I agree.
Right, I don't know why.
He's transferring off, and he's a very good-looking man as well. So he'll add looks to them.
I don't know.
He's just over there, and he's just said that. I've just said very good-looking men, and he's giving me a dirty look.
Yeah, rightly so. Right, so for me, I don't know. I really don't see why Gallagher gets so much hate. Apart from he plays for Chelsea. I watched Gallagher play at Crystal Palace. I've watched Gallagher play with Chelsea. Gallagher is the first name on the team sheet. He was at Chelsea. He was at Crystal Palace. Gallagher's in the England squad for a reason, right? The guy is, people say he hasn't got skills and stuff like that. The guy is a fucking proper Premiership footballer in my eyes, and has been. He's been the driving force for Chelsea. He's played in the 10 and 8 and 6.
Man.
He's played everywhere for Chelsea, and I believe that if you're letting go, let's say for argument's sake, Højbjerg is going, and you're letting go of Lo Celso, all right?
He doesn't replace Højbjerg though.
No, I didn't say. All right, I'm just saying, if you're releasing 2 players from the midfield already, then it means we need 2 more players to replace in the midfield. Now you've got Bergvall coming in, who's young, unproven, untested in Premiership level. Yeah. So why not go for a Gallagher? I can't see why people can't get their heads around that Gallagher is a good player. Forget that he plays for Chelsea. Gallagher is a good player. However, my caveat to Gallagher is, if we go for Gallagher, I don't want us to go for the Gallagher, but to go for Gallagher and then forego not going for Eze.
Yeah, I get that.
2 different style players, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
I'd rather us not help Chelsea out at all by spending money on their players, rather than wallowing in,
if it benefits us and we get a really good player,
there is that, of course.
If we don't get him, Adrian, then someone else will get him.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a good player.
We're linked with him in Chalobah. We're not that urgent for a centre back because we've got the others to come through. We got Dorrant and Phillips and Vuskovic to come through. So if we get one, if they're not ready, obviously, but if we got a centre back in, I'm not going to argue. I like a left-footed, but why help Chelsea out?
So just catching up with the chat. So
if we don't help them out, someone else do.
Well, that's them then, isn't it us? But it isn't us, is it?
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
And he's a Chelsea through and through. So all right, he's got to be a professional. You've had all the people espousing.
As long as he doesn't do a Jason Cundy.
Yeah.
So we got.
No, I mean.
Steve D's here saying Gallagher was arguably Chelsea's second best player in the second half of the season, and Chelsea were easily in top 4 form. I rate him. Is what is Steve D.
Very well in the second half of the season.
Can I say good afternoon to Steve D as well? Nice to see you here, mate. Daniel Coy says he would automatically be the best player in our team straight away, Gallagher.
He's very good at pressing.
Yeah. Matthew says Gallagher would be top class, and he says big up comrades to us all, to the 3 of us. Mark Cousins reckons that we've got more chance of getting Noel Gallagher. Ronnie says Gallagher walks into our team, so yes. Daniel Coy then says he would be one of our best players at recovering the ball in the team. Steve D then says, don't understand why so protective of mediocre players. Then knock a player like Gallagher just because he's Chelsea fan. Kane was Arsenal fan. Roy Keane supported Spurs as a boy. It's irrelevant.
Who said Kane was an Arsenal fan?
No, he was at Arsenal. He wasn't an Arsenal
He was
fan.
at Arsenal, but he wasn't an Arsenal fan.
Right, and
He
just
was
the
at Watford first.
just
not
the harmless
Arsenal.
potato says, my problem with Gallagher is that would rather prefer a real CDM. He is a very good player. Said it before. I just think we have so many eights in the squad. Roundtable says Gallagher seems like he's a good leader as well.
He's a good communicator. He's always talking to the other Chelsea players.
Wiltshire Spurs. Good evening, Wiltshire Spurs says simply Ange out.
Disagree with that.
And Nita's then hashtag Ange in and Mason out.
No,
Yes.
Engine and Mason stays.
And then Wiltshire Spurs says bring in a new manager.
I agree with Nita.
No.
Mason out. Get him out.
No.
Not good enough. He wasn't good enough as a player. I feel sorry for him because he had that injury, but he's not good enough as a coach. In that League Cup final, he took off Lucas Moura. He had no clue. Lucas Moura was playing very, very well, and he took him off. Rubbish. Sorry, Mason out.
Mason's still learning his ropes. He's well respected. He's liked down, and the other coaches think he's good. And the thing with it is the twice he's taken over is when we've been in a mini crisis. That's not way to judge him. That's no way to judge him.
No,
You
I'm
can
not
criticise
judging
him. You can criticise him for his subs in the League Cup final. Fair enough. But you're going to judge him. He's got to have a fair crack of the whip, and he hasn't had a fair crack of the whip. Right?
Ryan
I don't
Mason
think
for
he's ever
president.
going to be Spurs manager.
Ryan Mason for United States president.
Yeah, he can do that.
Right. So just looking now. Right.
I'm being harsh, aren't I? I'm coming across as a bitch.
2 hours ago, there was another on Shitter. There was another tweet saying Ajax striker Brian Broby has named Tottenham Hotspur as one of the clubs which would be a dream destination to move to from Ajax.
Arsenal, though, was mentioned in the same sentence.
Then he says, yeah, Real Madrid, Manchester United, and Arsenal, those are nice clubs.
Yeah, they're not nice enough. Come to Spurs, boy. We're the best
We've always
club.
had close ties with Ajax Spurs. I think it's probably the ex-Jewish connections and all that in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So
let's make Spurs great again.
strong Jewish connection with Ajax.
We need someone like not Trump, but we need his message. Let's make Spurs great again. Come on. We've been in the doldrums for 30 odd years. We've won nothing apart from one League Cup. That's not good enough.
Well,
It's not.
tomorrow will be interesting as well when we got the Spurs AGM, Colin. So we see what Levy's got to say. And
What time is the AGM tomorrow?
It'll be the afternoon time. We see what all the Levy sycophants have to say, and at the meeting, and see if he does get any. He'll probably get all manufactured questions, won't he? Like from selected members of the audience or whatever.
Where are they holding it?
I think it's. It's not in
It's
Tottenham.
actually in Tottenham itself.
No. I think it's Oxford or somewhere like that. Or
That's what I mean. Why have an AGM for Tottenham Hotspur in Oxford? Why? Have it in Tottenham where you're based.
It's not.
Right. Can I just say that there's a friendly tonight between Denmark and Sweden.
Yes, and
Sweden have just it's live now. So Sweden got an equaliser in the 9th minute from Isak.
Okay.
But Denmark took the lead through PEH.
There you go. I'm telling you.
He does play a more forward role for them, though.
Oh, you Pierre-Emile Højbjerg haters, sit back and enjoy that goal.
Right. So before we continue,
It's the last one you're seeing him as a Spurs player, probably last goal.
Daniel questions.
Yeah,
People have to look at the bigger
Shut
picture
up,
with Gallagher. A system like this requires high energy with fantastic ball recovery, and will definitely make the system thrive more.
I agree.
And it's been agreed by Adrian's agreed with you, and Peter Kagagas has agreed with you as well. And just a harmless potato say it says, yeah, you actually kind of convinced me. Gallagher's very good at pressing the opponents. could be the right player for Ange. He is. I don't know why he gets so much grief. It's just because he plays for bloody Chelsea. Because otherwise, he's a good player. So you take away who he plays for. If you look at Gallagher's attributes, he could be wearing a Liverpool shirt, a Luton shirt, whatever. He is a really good player. Steve D. Kane was so desperate as a boy to play for Arsenal. He offered to go in goal. As a boy, he supported Arsenal, but as I said, it's irrelevant. They are professional football players. Wiltshire Spurs says Ange deluded if things will change.
Got to look up the player.
And Wiltshire Spurs is saying no to Gallagher. And Daniel just doesn't care, doesn't give two wasps in the whirlwind what he does in a Denmark shirt. Right, sorry, that's going on.
Guess who set up Højbjerg's goal? Ericsson. Come on.
Yeah.
That's my man. I won't
Which
have
one?
any bad words said about him.
Which one? You've got like 50,000 surnames.
No,
so which one's your man?
Højbjerg's the man that started off at the Irish Hotspur. They called me Queen Ellie Højbjerg, and it stuck. So I have to stand by my man because he's the Irish Hotspur's creation. All right, Dave. I love you, Dave, and Jack Kanicki.
So if we don't get Gallagher for about 25 million, he's the same type of player. He's not sexy signing like Gallagher doesn't come across as sexy. But we could go and get your compact grip, Colin. You know what I'm on about?
He is kind of sexy.
I love Colin.
We could go and get your compatriot, Colin, from Juventus.
McKennie, that's not a terrible shot.
McKennie would do the same job. He didn't have a great time at Leeds, but he wasn't in the best side. But he's full of energy and box to box. No one talks about him now, but that kid has got an engine on him. Like, he's only about 25, and he's got an engine on him. And I think he could be Gallagher Mark II. There's been no mention of him though. So, but
yeah, I'm sure. Obviously, it's down to that he isn't homegrown.
Yeah,
but as you were also saying, that's not a huge deal at the moment. So yeah, I'm with you. He would be a good player. I hadn't given it much thought for this transfer window. I mean, obviously we've been linked with him in the past. Weston McKennie. I don't know what he makes. I'm sure he makes a pretty big wage packet. But
didn't he go there on a free to Juventus?
Yeah,
his transfer was a free, wasn't it? Because the club. I don't know. I can't remember the situation surrounding him, but I think he went to Juve on a free.
I'll find out. One sec.
Yeah. And but if you want an engine, if you want them sort of type of players, I can't think of too many box-to-box number 8s. That's the thing. We've been linked with quality Coop Miners, Edison, Gibbs White. You know, we've been linked with midfielders like that. Holmond as well. DM, young DM. He might play for Sassuolo or someone like that. But McKennie, I think McKennie would do the same job as Gallagher.
No, he costs about 25 million euro from.
And he was ripping it up before he moved to Juventus, wasn't he? Before he got
at Schalke in Bundesliga.
He's one of the few number 8s I can think of. I'm talking about Weston McKennie, Jose. I think he's box to box. If you don't get a Gallagher type, you could go with him. Juventus would definitely sell it.
I wasn't impressed with him at Leeds.
And I didn't break.
I've not been impressed with him since he's gone back from Leeds to Juventus either. He gets very little game time, but the game time he does get, I'm not impressed with him at all. There's a reason why Juventus want to get rid of him, mate. In my eyes, I don't rate him.
Are they trying to get rid of him? I don't know. What's he got left on his contract? Do we know?
Talking about my countryman there, pal.
He doesn't play, Adrian. That's a clue in itself. He doesn't play. I mean, in saying that, I mean we're looking at Ilin Jr. Ilin Jr. don't play either. It doesn't get game time. So you know, Juventus, for people to understand, Juventus have had loads of players. They've got loads of players out on loan, and they have got an absolutely huge
And we're looking
squad.
at Matthias Muller at Juventus as well.
They've got a huge squad, Juventus. Huge squad. why we ended up getting players like Bentancur and Kulusevski out of Juventus, because Juventus have got bloated squads every season. They got loads of players every season. So, you could go and nick someone from Juventus. It'd have to be one of their players that hasn't been playing as much, or someone that's coming to the end of a contract. Someone like Cambiasso would be really good, but Cambiasso's looking like he's going to sign another deal.
Or if he hasn't already signed it already, but he's 24 and he can play on the left and right, he would be ideal. He'd be ideal.
He's a very good footballer, but he's not the kind of player that you're looking at that they're going to try and let go, are they? So, just saying, right, it just says again, there is genuine interest from Tottenham Hotspur in signing Brentford striker Ivan Toney. However, the fee needs to be acceptable to Spurs. Currently, the valuation is too high, but things can change. And that's come from Paul O'Keefe. Now, last year, they wanted 40 for Raya. We said no. And then they offered Raya to Arsenal.
Tony's got a year left, isn't he, on his contract?
Yeah, but so did Raya have a year left. But what I'm saying is that I wanted 40 for him last year for Raya. We said no to it. Arsenal got him. They ended up being a loan. It's 27 million they're going to get him for. So again, they're doing the same thing, Brentford. They're asking for so much money. They're not going to get the money they're asking for. And I just think that the money, that his fee will just come down.
We're going anywhere near him. I don't even think we're interested in him. I just think this is paper talk, because the stronger word and the hotter trial is that Jimenez has said yes. So if Jimenez has said yes, this is agreed. And so then it's just a question of sorting out and structuring the deal with Feyenoord. I think we're going to see Jimenez at Spurs and Eze. And I don't know what we're doing in midfield. I don't know. We don't know if Andy's going to tweak or change his system in any way whatsoever, or he's going to stick with the way he's been playing. Right. So we don't know. So we've been linked with a lot of quality. This is what I like. A lot of the players we've been linked with, Nico Williams, Danny Olmo, a lot of quality footballers. There aren't many dogs in the pack, even if you include Gallagher and all that. There aren't. Everyone we're being linked with, unless you were going back to Lloyd Kelly, who's been let go on a free. Now, would Spurs take him as he's on a free? Right. What's wrong with Lloyd Kelly to be let go on a free? Has he really got that many bad injury problems or what? He's left-footed, play left back and left centre back.
He's not going to make our team any better, Lloyd Kelly. It's not good enough.
No.
Right. Yeah, so what I was going to say is
go for a higher set player.
There's a bit of a theme happening in the nose at the moment. There's a bit of a theme happening. So you've got the 4 players that have been released today, right? I've already given something out saying that Betis won the Celso, and there'll be talks about that. We've already said that Emerson's wanted by Milan, and they're in talks with them, right? So there's two players already. Another player is Jed Spence. So the latest has just come out is Tottenham on the verge of selling Jed Spence. Insiders believe Genoa want to pay 5 to 6 million euros. Tottenham value Spence at 8.5 million euros, which is already a large discounted price. Proposals with buyout clauses and add-ons are now being explored.
Yeah, so he'll go.
Yeah, he'll go, definitely.
What about Gil? Is there any mention of Gil?
Hold on. And Genoa CEO Andres Blázquez has travelled to London personally to ensure the deal can be concluded. So what basically I'm trying to get to is that we've all turned around at one stage or another as fans, and I basically say it all the time, and Colin's aware of this. I always say it's more important. The business is more important getting players out of the club than bringing them in, because we've had players in the club for too long. We need to get rid of them. So I'm happy to hear. I'm happy that the squad's gone down from 32 to 28, but with other players on the verge of deals going out, it sounds really, really positive to me, because it's not just about the players we bring in, Adrian. For me, it's the players that are going out as well, because you've got to balance the squad. So for me, to hear all this that's going on and all the vibes about this at the moment is really positive. I just hope that we hear something in the next few days. My ideal picture would be that we make some sales before the Euro starts anyway, and that if we could bring in 1, possibly 2 players before the Euro starts, bearing in mind they start next Friday, then I think that's a perfect, an absolutely perfect start to the window.
Well, Gil again. He's like, if you say Gil, Højbjerg, Lo Celso as well going, you know, end on belly to Saudi for 200 barrels of oil and 8 camels.
Brian Hill's in my starting 11 next season. I don't know about you.
He won't be at the club next year.
I know. I'm being.
Yeah. So like,
We'll
get more money for Weber, Gill, and Gill. You know.
DD, we've had more managers than I've had at dinners, and that worked out well. Stick with the manager for a change. What's the worst that can happen? We don't win a trophy.
And Emerson, see the hot dinner for God's sake.
Well, means we need another right back.
I said, and give Steve a hot dinner for God's sake.
You know, and we haven't had a hot dinner or a trophy for over 16 years since our last one. So we're not doing very well on the trophy.
You're being a bit harsh. We won the Audi Cup, didn't we?
Do you know what I'm going to do?
We won that cup with the Rangers away, didn't we? I forget what that was even called.
The Walter Toll Trophy.
We won the Walter Toll Cup. And I was disappointed. We had no open bus parade. I was a bit disappointed. Like 2 trophies, no parade.
Adrian, I'm going to go down to Spurs tomorrow. I'm a free lady tomorrow after my tumble dry gets delivered. And I'll go down there with a feather duster and I'll wave it at Daniel Levy as he walks past me. And I say, do you need those trophies polishing or dusted?
And it'd be funny. You should do it.
And do you know what he'll do? He'll go, yes, love. How much do you want?
He'll be at the AGM. Ellie, you'll be at the AGM tomorrow. Right.
This is a new. I'm just looking at Shitter again, and this is a new one for me. Justin, Tottenham Hotspur expressed an interest in signing Fulham midfielder Andres Pereira. It's unlikely that Pereira will stay at Fulham next season, and the player wants his future defined after the Copa America. Andres Pereira is a new one.
America starts on the 20th.
Yeah.
So you're looking, if that's a month and they get to the final month, you're looking 20th of July. That's before you can even get in touch with a player and sign him.
Hungry? I mean, Jose, you're hungry?
I've got to go and play football, so I've got to eat now.
What's on the sandwich?
What time's your match?
Hamburger, quarter pounder.
Oh.
What time's your match, Jose?
8 o'clock.
All right, we've got time.
But he's not one that I've heard of, Adrian. So to read that now on Shitter, it's the first time that I've seen a link with Pereira.
And we were linked with Onana at Everton, weren't we? And Brentford at Everton as well. But like Everton aren't going to get the money they want for Brentford because they're in such deep financial crap.
Yeah.
I mean, and they really are in danger. They really are threatened.
Fans.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the fans.
You know, Everton is such a great club. You know, they were part of the Big Six and they've fallen by the wayside because of their financial dealings. I feel really sorry for them because I've got a soft spot for Everton. Yeah,
again, it's like, well, see, we're in our own territory. We don't know if Andy's going to change things, you know. So if he is, because everybody's mentioning sort of potential number 6s or people that could do a better job defensively than our existing midfielders. But if Ange sticks with 2 8s and a 10, then it's Gallagher, you know. So
he rotates them though, doesn't he? He doesn't play strictly with 2 8s and a 10.
No, but he would start with his energetic 2 8s. Even if it went wrong and he changed it half time later, you know.
Do you say tomorrow's Tottenham's AGM?
Play Romero as a 6.
Sorry?
Romero would be a fabulous 6.
Did you say that tomorrow's Tottenham's AGM?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's Tottenham's AGM. Can't wait to hear all about that. And there's going to be, I think there'll be a breakdown show and a meltdown show.
There'll be a meltdown everywhere, yeah.
Okay.
It's in Oxford, isn't it?
But they won't be on this channel. But I'm just saying there'll be a meltdown show everywhere. Tomorrow's also the Premier League's AGM.
Is it?
And Wolves. Okay, Wolves have put in the Wolves have put in 10 key arguments for the scrapping of VAR, which we all know. And the 10 arguments are: 1 is the overreach of VAR's original purpose. 2, the impact on celebrations and the atmosphere. 3, frustration and confusion in stadiums. 4, hostile and negative atmosphere inside stadiums. 5, damaging the authority of officials. 6, the continued errors despite the VAR. 7, incompatibility with the Premier League's pace. 8 is extended added time and disruption. 9, VAR discourse overshadowing matches. And 10 is the erosion of trust and reputation. But they think The Wolves have made 10 core arguments to scrap VAR ahead of tomorrow's vote at the EPL's AGM. Vote is expected to fail, but the motion has been welcomed as a forum for debate. Most clubs feel VAR needs finessing, not scrapping, and SAOT technology will help.
Look what my husband just got me.
Oh, no, good husband.
Lovely.
That's an oyster, isn't it?
Jealous.
That's cream with a flake.
This is a nice oyster with the flake, you see?
Yes, oyster with a flake, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
And then apart from that, I mean, the other news outside of Tottenham is that it looks like Besiktas are closing on the appointment of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as their new manager.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I think. What's your take? Well, what's your take on Monday's court case when Man City are taking the Premier League to court, saying that their rules preventing owners not being able to spend as much as they want are illegal? I mean, to me, they're trying to cover themselves before they face their charges, down to 15 charges in November, and they preemptive strike by then. But to me, I'm not a lawyer, but thinking laterally, my logic tells me, well, if you download a bit of software or something from the internet, you sign that agreement, or you don't, or you can't download the software for free, right? So if you're in a club, you're in a club because you're willing to abide by the rules. Now, those rules, I mean, you can't have rules in a club that break the law, but ordinary civil law, that's different anyway. You know, if I took the Women's Institute, the court said, well, because they won't let me become a member, well, you know, it's a women's only institution. So, like, I would lose the case.
You have to put a wig on.
Yeah, or something, you know. so I don't see Man City getting far with this case. Well, I hope they don't. I certainly hope they don't. I hope they lose this. But otherwise, as one reporter said and talked about, well, otherwise, you really got no Premier League. If you've got no rules and no rule base, then you've got to tear all that up and start again. So, Man City doing this, I think it's an act of desperation, personally.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I really do. The preemptive strike, they're probably hoping maybe they think if they take the Premier League to court, the arbitration thing, they'll try and force them to back off and things like that. I remember at the time they tried it strokes before, like when other clubs have been up and like when we were done and like when West Ham were done and other clubs, they try to rehash all those, you know, try to conflate it all so as it would be deflected away from him and lessen the impact of any future in the future that might happen to them. Personally, I think they're going to get stuffed bad in November. And Chelsea, I think, have got worse charges. I think Chelsea, and I haven't charged Chelsea yet, and Chelsea haven't even sold that hotel for 70 million, and the Premier League haven't ratified it because, again, you're selling it from one of your companies to one of your companies. And the Man City argument is, well, what they've done is a lot of their sponsorship deals that they've got, see, they have to be fair, what the Premier League consider them to be fair. So if you've got sponsorship deals, say, around the richest clubs, say like Man United or Spurs or Chelsea, around that, right? Man City sponsors deals are ridiculous. The amount of companies involved with them that give them sponsorship deals or money, right? It's to the extreme. It's to the extreme. You know, you just don't get deals like that. You know, otherwise, why don't the rest of the clubs get deals like that? Because companies aren't prepared to, like, you know, throw money away like that. You know, so we'll see, but I don't see him winning this court case.
Good evening to Chris Peters' Big Up panel. Just watched the Football Terrace, I think that means, with Terry, Judgman, Hussam, all talking about City.
What did I say, Chris?
And then he says, City want to run off to the Europa Super League.
Well, there is no Europa Super League because the whole format of the has been changed to a Swiss model now, isn't it? Same as the Europa League and the Champions League. It's been the same league basis. When at 8 teams, each team will play extra group games to bring them in money. That's the way of seducing the clubs to accept the deal and not run off and do a Super League. So like Spurs in the Europa League will play 8 games, will be drawn, but it'll be 8 different teams. Who you get drawn away to and at home to is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be exciting, actually. So we'll have 4 home games. I mean, against 4 teams and 4 away games against 4 different teams. So, yeah, I think it'd be interesting. You're on mute, Ellie. Ellie, you're on mute.
On mute.
Sorry, I was going to say, as long as we win the games and we actually win a cup, if we win that Europa Cup, we'll be in the Champions League, which is a good pathway.
Yeah.
To make it into the top 4 is getting even more and more difficult now.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a top 4 club. Postecoglou doesn't want to be top 4. He wants to win the league. He's an ambitious man.
My priority for me, I can park the FA Cup because the 6th round doesn't start till January, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we go strong in the League Cup, strong team in the League Cup to get that out of the way. Then in the Europa League, we go as strong as we can. Because if we win the first 4 games, there's a chance we'll have dead rubbers. And that's what we want. We want them dead rubbers to be out of blood the youngsters before we get in the knockout stage.
Yeah.
Because then we can tweak the squad and he can like experiment and you're through to the next round. I mean, it may be depending on how many points we get, whether we're seeded for the knockout stage and we play a lesser team or whatever, we should go all out for the Europa League. We can win the Europa League. And I'm talking that before we've even got all our transfers in, the squad settled for going into the new season. I think we could win this year.
We say this every year, though, Adrian. We have to strengthen our squad to be able to win these cups because we've been really weak. Last season, we didn't really strengthen that well. We bought Maddison and Basuma came into the team, Sarr came into the team, but they weren't new signings. They just weren't play players. But Maddison was the one, and then he got injured, and then he was rubbish. He was really bad in the second half of the season. He didn't hit his form. That first 10 games when we were cooking, and we broke Premiership records, didn't we? 26 points out of 30. Everybody was saying Spurs are the ones who are going to go right forward. Then everything went pear-shaped. Not everything, but we didn't hit the heights of those first 10 games. So when we say we can win it, well, obviously we can win every cup every year, but we haven't won them.
The reason I say more,
the reason really well this time.
No, the reason I say more in the Europa League, right? Normally, most European teams, especially, they do not like facing the power and pace of a Premier League team in a European competition. Now, you're going to have European teams in the early round. They're going to have to face Angeball, which is tremendous pace. It's even more power than pace than they're used to facing in their league.
Yeah, you say that.
I don't think they'll be able to live with us. Even now, even with the team we've got now, I don't think most of those teams will meet in the Europa League.
Actually, your argument doesn't stand up because who's won the most European trophies? It's not English clubs. It's Spanish clubs and Italian clubs and German clubs.
No,
so how can you say that? How can you say that England is the best? They're not.
I didn't say that, Ellie.
But you're basically saying
I said
they're going to face the powerhouse of the Premiership.
I say most European clubs do not like facing English clubs in competition.
But they beat them.
Power and pace. I didn't say anything about us winning the competitions, but I said with Angeball, they'll be facing power and pace plus even more. And I think we'll rip through them. I think we'll rip through them. Sorry?
Haven't you seen Barcelona play? Haven't you seen Real Madrid play? Haven't you seen even Dynamo Zagreb, who made us look stupid?
They're not in the Europa League.
Dynamo Zagreb made us look stupid in the Europa Cup.
Ellie, Barcelona and Real Madrid are not in the Europa League.
No, I know. I'm saying Dynamo Zagreb. All these European teams we're putting down, Dynamo Zagreb, Villarreal beat Manchester United. Dynamo Zagreb made us look stupid. They beat us 3-2. All these foreign teams we're putting down and saying that the Premiership
should have been sacked.
Saying the Premiership is better than them. I don't think so.
I didn't say that.
So. But you said that they're facing the powerhouse of the Premiership.
What I said was.
That's what you said.
They don't like facing Premier League clubs.
But they still beat us.
Hmm?
Who's done better? Who's done better in Europe? England or these foreign teams?
Well, there's last season the foreign teams did better.
Yeah, but it's been that for, like, you know, Atletico Madrid and Sevilla, they've won the Europa Cup or the UEFA Cup much more than English teams.
Yeah, they have in the latter stages.
But they don't care about facing the English teams. They're not scared of us. They beat us, so they're not scared of us.
Well, I beg to differ because I think a lot of them they'd rather not face English teams.
Well, if that's the case, how comes we don't win all the European trophies then in England? Liverpool won 6.
That's I'm talking about them not winning to face us. I'm not talking about who the eventual winners are.
Well, we should be not wanting to face
8 games
them.
we're going to play. I'll tell you now, and we should qualify easy for the knockout stages.
But Adrian, we should be scared of facing them because they're better than us.
No.
They are, because they've done better in Europe. It's proven. Real Madrid have won 15 European trophies. Where have England teams done that? They haven't.
Right, I've just seen a tweet on Shitter again. It says Manchester City could seek to rejoin the European Super League if they fail in their legal battle with the Premier League over associated party transactions. Relations between the league and the champions will be at an all-time low.
Well, let them go then.
Yeah.
Let them go. It's my attitude. I'd let them go. All right, you want to join some league, and if Juventus and Real Madrid and Barcelona want to form a little round-robin team of 4, have it like Scotland, have about 8 teams, let them do it. If they can get more runners, let them do it. It won't happen with the new football regulator in this country. The law might be passed and it's illegal. I don't know what's going to happen because we're going to have an early election now this year, aren't we, in July? So I don't know if that football regulator are they in place now? I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up actually. So and
I'd like to address that Daniel Coy's argument there. I'd like to address that. Daniel Coy's.
Which one? The one.
He says, "Well, the Premiership is one of the powerhouses." I don't agree.
Fair enough.
I don't agree that the Premiership is not. I'm going on fair facts. Foreign teams have won more in Europe. They've won more World Cups. England have won 1 World Cup. We haven't even won the European Championships. Even Greece have won it. We haven't even won it. So how can you say that English clubs?
Well, they should have won more because there's more. Because how many European?
The fallacy.
No, but then it's not a balance because the reason it's not balanced. How many countries are there in Europe? And there's one England. How many countries are there in Europe?
Yeah, but you put yourself against Spain then. How many times have Spain won the World Cup?
Once.
Right, how many times have England won it?
Once.
Yeah, and more recently, Spain have won it. How many times have Spain won the European Cup?
To European Championships?
The actual Champions League, sorry.
No, the European Championships, Spain have won it twice and England have never won it.
Not won it. Even Greece have won it. Greece. They're not even a footballing nation.
Well, we've drifted on international football. When it comes to European Cups, Liverpool won 6, Man United have won 3, Villa have won 2, Forest have won 2, Chelsea have won 2, and that's before you go to Cup Winners' Cups, which Spurs have won. UEFA Cup, Spurs have won 2.
And Real Madrid on the road.
England
on the road have won 15.
In proportion,
knock them out the park.
Ellie, in proportion, or every other country in Europe,
I'm
there's a
for
lot
Spain,
more of them.
mate. I'm for Spain.
I know.
Spanish football's better.
In comparison to every country in Europe, which you're backing against England here in European football.
I'm not backing them against. I'm saying they're facts.
In proportion to all those teams, England's record is good. It's good.
It's good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying it's not better than any other. I would fear the Spanish teams and the Italian teams. I wouldn't fear a Premiership team because Spanish teams have won more. They have. Real Madrid have won 15 European Cups.
It depends who
Barcelona
you're playing.
have won 5.
Yeah, but it depends who you're playing. And like I said earlier, Barcelona.
I'm only going on their facts.
Right, Ellie, do you want to continue the stream because I've got to shoot?
Yeah, I'll have a
You
little
want to continue
chat
the
with Adrian about
you and
football.
Adrian have got.
No, I've got.
You've got stamina to burn.
We need to talk about something else, though, anyway.
Because I like to talk about real facts. Real facts are Spanish teams are better than English teams. Sorry, that is the case. They are. They've won more, so they're better. Who's the best team in England?
You can have the last word. Let's end the stream. I want to talk about
she wants to continue. Like, look at her.
I do, because I'm passionate, right, about what's real facts. The real facts are Spanish.
Ellie, if you want to continue your stream, you continue, because I'll go and play football. But then if you want to get anyone else on and that, you know to send the StreamYard. Do you want me to put the StreamYard link on for you now?
No, I'll carry on, because I love Adrian. I don't think he's wrong that English teams are very good, but you can't say they're better than the other teams.
No, but I'm just saying, you got Chris in the chat. If you wanted to get Chris on as well, you could put the link out.
Yeah. I can't send the link because I haven't got the WhatsApp on here.
I'm doing it now. Send
it in.
Chris, if you want to join, because I've got.
I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you.
Chris, if you want to join, because I've got to jump off, or even Nick, if you want to join in as well, because I've got to jump off, then the link is there. All right, people, keeps.
That's my husband putting this.
Gone pear-shaped.
They've only won one trophy in their whole history.
I've got to go and play football, but there's the link for
Remember
Chris or
when
for
you
Nick
see
or
me,
whatever.
you always play brilliant.
I remember QPR won the League Cup.
Yeah, they won one cup in their whole history.
League Cup, yeah.
Keep smashing the likes for these people.
I'll tell you a funny story, right? Bye-bye.
You know how to do the outro, don't you? It's fine.
Of course I do. Yeah, okay. I did it this morning. Right, Adrian, I remember I went to QPR Oxford in the League Cup final, and my husband bought tickets, and they were with the Oxford fans, and they were singing, "We're going to score in a minute, score in a minute," and they did. And they beat QPR 3-0. That was shameful. Poor QPR. They're like the Cambridge United of football.
Two of the best League Cup finals. When Swindon beat Arsenal and when Luton beat Arsenal.
Your point was that the Premiership teams are the powerhouse. Yeah? And that foreign teams will be scared to play them.
Teams, I'm talking about the Europa League, that the European teams in the Europa League won't fancy playing Premier League teams with their power and pace. And what I added on to that, I said with Ange Ball, it'll be a total different Premier. It'll be Premier Plus.
I hope so.
It'll be Premier Plus because it'll be even more pace, and they're just not used to it in their leagues. So we should blow those teams away. That's what I'm saying.
You mean the lesser countries?
Then it went off the. Well, then it went off on a tangent. Then the conversation went on a complete tangent.
No, not really, because you're basically saying that the other teams in Europe will be frightened of our teams because of our pace and power, but the other teams have done better.
I didn't say they were frightened. I said they won't fancy playing us. That's what I said. Yeah,
but what I'm saying, I'm caveating it. I agree with you that they might be scared because we're more powerful and we play quicker football, but they've actually had better results against us and they've won more in Europe. That's what I'm saying. So really, if I was a Spanish team playing say I'm a Swedish team playing a Premiership team, right? Of course, I'm going to think, oh my God, I've got a Premiership team. It's going to be a lot tougher than if I go to Norway, for example. Yeah? Is that what you're alluding to?
That's not even just whether you're a French team or you've got to consider what teams are going to be in the Europa League. The cream are going to be in the Champions League, right? Yeah,
the Europa League has still got some very, very good sides in.
Yes, and we'll be one of the favourites on paper to win it when it comes to the betting. When the betting comes up, we will. Whether we win it or not's another thing. I think we should give it a real good go, and I think we can win it.
We last won the Europa League. It was the UEFA Cup. Actually, the UEFA Cup, like I said before, is the Champions League. Because the Champions League is the UEFA Cup because they changed it all around, Adrian, and the European Cup was the first team of every country that went into the competition, and they were the best team. That's the proper Champions League, but they renamed it all. So the UEFA Cup is now the Champions League because 4 teams go in it from each country, and that's what happens in the UEFA Cup, right? So really,
they just let more teams into it. They let more teams.
Champions. There's only one champion.
We won it in '84
against the champions of each country.
We won it in '84 against Anderlecht on a penalty shootout, but then I would say it was harder to win because it was league positionings going into it. You didn't have leagues going down to like 8th position like you do now, and a critical factor is like you had your squads were about 14 players because you weren't allowed 5 substitutes or 6 with a concussion. You were allowed one sub. So you'd have a goalkeeper on a bench with 3 other players, and most squads consist of back then. Your main squad was about 14 players. That was it, not 25 like it is now. So then
points. See what his argument is. I did not say English clubs are more successful than Spanish clubs. I said, why would teams not fear English clubs as well? Because 95% of the time, English clubs beat the smaller club countries. Of course they do, because they're lesser teams. But when it comes to the crux, I didn't actually say, I said Spanish teams have won more than English teams in Europe. And also,
I wasn't talking about winning trophies. What I was talking about is what Daniel was making a point. I was talking about you get the earlier rounds. All right, we might fall away. Over the last few years, we've had like 2 Liverpool, Man City in the semi-finals, Chelsea in the semi-finals. Chelsea have won it twice, right? Man City have won it, right? So like, you know, and we've always been there in the semi-finals, quarterfinals, yeah.
I apologise. I misread that, and I do apologise profusely.
No, don't worry about it. It's all right. I'm just making.
I was just saying that a lot of foreign clubs, right? Obviously, the lesser teams, like from Norway and Sweden, they don't tend to win so much in Europe, do they? So if they face a Premiership team, yes, of course they're going to be worried. But a Spanish team, this is why I was alluding. A Spanish team won't be worried because they're more successful and they've got more chance against an English team, same as an Italian team. An Italian team would come into Europe and not fear any English team or any Spanish team, and vice versa, right? But I agree with you. I misunderstood. The English clubs would beat the smaller club countries, but not always. We saw it with Spurs when we lost to the Greek side. I think we lost to, I can't even remember them. We lost to a Greek side, and Arsenal got knocked out by Olympiacos, and they got knocked out by Sporting Lisbon. There's lots of smaller countries who are not recognised as really, really good countries that play football, but they've done well. So
it's not often an English team in an early stage, in a group stage of a European competition, don't get through to the knockout stage. They may well get knocked out in quarterfinals, right? But majority of the time they get through. And we've seen it. I mean, like Arsenal come close to doing well in the Champions League, held it before last.
Yeah,
we were the same against Real Madrid, even though City were the better team, but Real Madrid just know how to get through these awkward ties. They've just got all that experience, you know.
Yeah.
German clubs have had a little bit of a renaissance this year, although Bayern have fell away. Bayer Leverkusen have done brilliantly, and Dortmund got to the final. If that had been Spurs getting a final, the quality in Europe this year was shit. That's what people would be saying, right? You know, but
we don't care what they say because the quality in Europe, they can't say that because it's very good. We've seen it when it's gone into international level as well. You see who's doing that very well in the international scene. and that they get those players from their leagues, don't they? And obviously, some of the better players that come to England and ply their trade in England, they're doing it not only because they love England as a football nation, they're doing it because they're getting more money as well, and there's more investment in the Premiership because it is the best league in the world in terms of that. But in terms of winning European trophies, lots of countries have done fantastic in it. Germany, Italy, and France and Spain. Those are the 4 European countries that have reaped lately. Like you see,
Sevilla won 3 on the spin, didn't they? But they also,
Sevilla,
and Liverpool
cup, isn't it?
yeah, but Liverpool were also beaten in the final, weren't they? You know, one of them finals. So, you know, the English teams always seem to progress. See, they might fall at the last hurdle, but they all seem to get through to like the quarterfinals, semi-finals. You know, and even if they lose in the final, they get there.
You could say the same argument for the Italian, German, Spanish, and French clubs. They do make it into finals and semi-finals as well,
but not so many of them.
Let's go back to the chat because we're going to be here all day moaning about who's winning most. We want Spurs to win. I want Spurs to win. I don't care about the Euro. As long as we win a trophy, I'll be so happy. Because going down that,
I want to see Ndombele gone because his wages are anything from 8 to 10 million a year. So we should be able to knock that off the bill. They should be able to say, "Look, we'll give you 4 mil, just go." Because if he's on 200 grand a year, that's like 10.5 or 10.8 million a year. If he's on 200k, I don't think he's on 200k. There was always talk about him being on that. I think he's on about 150. He wouldn't have been on more than Kane or Son, anyway. So I think he's probably more near the 8 mil mark. So if we said to him, mind you, he's such a lazy dog of a player that I think he'd probably sit out his contract and just take the money. I think he's that type. I just think he is that type. I just think he's horrible. Right. Yeah. So
the thing is,
you can't put the effort in for that money you're paid. You can't put the effort in, watch your weight and train and all that. Like for all that money you've been given. Nah.
I know. It's shameful, but what can we do? We're never going to change his attitude.
I don't hate on him, but I don't wish him well in the same respect. Like I'll say, good luck to Sessegnon and Tanganga. I'm not saying good luck. I'm not saying good luck to him, though. You know?
No, I understand.
But he'll be gone, if not this season or the end of it. If Galatasaray don't want him, he's got nowhere to go. Maybe Saudi. Maybe we could get a few quid from Saudi off of him. But, you know.
Yeah, there was a comment earlier.
They lose weight out there because it's very hot. They're playing in 35, 40 degrees centigrade. They're not air-conditioned stadiums out there.
He's one of those big-boned players, isn't he? He's got a big stature, like Lukaku. He's very big, you know. And some players are like that. They're heavy set. I mean, I've been called heavy set as well, Adrian. So there you go. Anyway, there was a comment earlier about Ange Postecoglou. And it was quite a cutting remark, but I can't find it at the moment. But I'll try and find it. Anyway, we'll move on with the chat until I find that one. Right, so Chris is saying, Meta Football Chris is saying, Euro Spain have won it 3 times.
Yeah, great side that as well. Good side. They knew how to kill a game off. They just played keep ball, didn't they? Want to have Xavi and Iniesta.
Mr. Harmless Potato, Spanish clubs have been the most successful, winning 19 titles. England is second with 15, and Italy is third with 12. Fourth is Germany with 8. Most of I think probably 7 of those are Bayern Munich's, aren't they? Yeah.
He must be talking about European Cups,
European
Champions League.
Yeah. The average quality in the EPL is higher than most of Europe.
Even Ipswich won the Europa League. They won it in style against AZ Alkmaar. Brilliant.
Nick's saying the average quality of EPL is higher than most of Europe, but the top of the other leagues is on par. I agree with that.
Yeah, the top teams in those leagues, top 2 usually.
Yeah, like the Swedish league is quite strong, but it's not as strong as our Premiership. I would say that. I put my hand on my heart and say the Swedish and the Norwegian. They have got a very good team. They've got very good teams, but there's not enough of them. And they probably, if they played a Premiership club early doors, the Premiership club will go through. That is true. That's European Cup winners sorted by country. Yes. Peter, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm Greek. Kehigias. Meta football. Can you remember when it was Yugoslavia? Yeah, we can remember when they were in. Yugoslavia is now called. I don't even know what it's called. I've forgotten. What's Yugoslavia called now, Adrian? You know, don't you?
Well, you got Slovakia.
Slovakia, that's it.
No, Slovakia.
There's the other country as
You've
well.
got the Czech Republic. You've got the Czech Republic and Slovakia, and Yugoslavia's broke up into Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia, I think at the bottom, and Herzegovina, is it?
But Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Yeah.
But I think Yugoslavia, they're the former Republic of Yugoslavia. That's what they're known as
When
now.
it was a communist country under Tito,
yeah,
that was
the former
combined.
Republic. Yeah,
But it broke up.
I've
Yeah.
forgotten my geography. I mean, I'm 62. What am I going to remember when I was 18? Right. Meta Football TV is saying Real Madrid in Europe. I'll put that on hold if you don't mind.
Yeah, he's a Barcelona fan, Chris is, so he's got no love for.
I know, he hates them. He's just going to skip by them. He'll go to their ground and say, sorry, Barcelona are better. Right. Steve D saying, this has gone bonkers. See you laters. Oh, well, stay with us, Steve. It's only gone bonkers because me and Adrian are sort of passionate. Yeah. Meta Football saying, Peter Cahias, yes, I can. And then Just the Harmless Potato saying, Spain, the only team to win the Euros back-to-back, and they won a World Cup in between.
Yeah, they're the golden generation.
Yeah, true. Round table talk, that's Nick. The physicality of English teams are why the rest don't like to play EPL teams. I agree with that. We are very physical. I don't think we've got as much shithousery as the Italians. I don't think we're so clinical when a player's going through. You see it in international football when Cellini pulls down Saka by the scruff of his neck, yanks him down, takes one for the team. We don't see that. We don't see it so much. You can see a really bad tackle, but I think you're right there, Mick. The physicality in the English teams are much higher. Right, Peter saying, I used to love watching them. Well done. Eltel Cockerells. Oh, he's giving
Posted the link.
Yeah, he's posted the link. Anyone wants to join us? Because myself and Adrian will be holding the fort. Just the Harmless Potatoes laughing. I don't blame you because I'll go into one sometimes. It's just because I'm passionate. What it is, Adrian, I'm not getting at you. I'm passionate that the foreign teams are good as well. You know, I'm born in England, but my parents are from Cyprus. So if anybody's dissing the other country, I feel like protecting them because not that I think our football's crap. I think our football's brilliant. You know, the English League, the Premier League, is so exciting to watch. I'd rather watch our league than watch Italian football. Yeah, it's more exciting. It's more faster. You know, we've been watching it all our lives, Adrian, haven't we? It's fantastic. And it's moved on because the players are fitter. The game has changed so much. There's not so much artistry in terms of, you know, like you don't get your Glenn Hoddles or your Stanley Bowles or your Tony Currys or your Frank Worthington or your Matt Letizier's. You don't get that type of player anymore because it's more of a passing team game, isn't it? Right? But there's still room for some mavericks. You know, like you've got your Jack Grealishes. He's been sort of squeezed out a bit at Man City, hasn't he? And he's sort of creative juices are like passing now. You know, but I like to see. Don't you think, Adrian?
My thing with the likes of Grealish, £100 million player.
Yeah.
Where's the goals?
I know that's what, obviously, but his creative juices I'm talking about. Like he's a very creative player. He loves to get on the ball. He loves being a bit of a maverick, a bit like Maddison as well. Similar players, right? And it's sort of getting quashed by this passing
I've got
game.
more confidence in Maddison scoring goals than I have Jack Grealish.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm not talking about goals.
I'm not even sure about Doku there. I mean, like, Doku's fast, got all the tricks, rolls the ball backwards and forwards on his feet and all that. How many goals has he scored since he's been there? He seems to be preferred because of his pace, his lightning pace is why he's preferred. And he's got a great skill set. And he's a good footballer, no doubt about it. But you're a wide player, you're playing on the wing. Where's the goals?
All right. What I would say to you, obviously, yeah, you're right in that respect. But what I say to you, have you seen a player in the Premiership this season like Matt Letizia or Glenn Hoddle?
No.
It's a different era, isn't it? I would like to get back to the football where we're creating footballers, not just passing footballers, pass and move, pass and move, pass and move. And the creativity is being sucked out of the game.
It's become the way teams set up. See, we get this argument, right, about it's robotic. And I get the argument when people turn and say, Ange has been sussed out. But hang on. Fine, I get that. And it's a valid point, right? And you can argue it for and against. But we also know when we're playing every other team in the league how they play.
Yeah.
So we should have them sussed out with our tactics to counter out their tactics. So we know what we're going to get when we play Villa. We know what we're going to get when we play Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. We know, right?
Yeah.
So when we've done well against Arsenal away 2-2, when we get a draw away at Man City, more mind you, you get the games when they should have been 3 or 4 up at half time anyway. But you know, but other games, you know, it's the same. You've still got to stop us playing our way and succeed against us, the same as when we play other teams and we know the way they set up, right? We devise tactics like Ange said. I pick a team to win a specific game, so he's not tactically inept at all, right? He does it now. Then it's down to the players, right, to enforce his tactics and impose themselves on the team we're playing, whether it's home or away. So they may well have sussed us out. Okay, we play a higher line, we hit them on the break. That seems to be the general tactic against Spurs. It was against Klopp when he first played, and we spanked them 4-1 at Wembley because what we did, we hit them when we pressed them like mad, and we hit them on the break, right? So they had to take Lovren off, you know. So yeah, you can know how a team plays, but you've still got to stop them. So people can suss Ange out, but they still have to stop us, and we finished 5th. So all the teams below us weren't more successful than us. Right? I mean, some of them beat us, you know, Newcastle and that, like, you know. But like, you've still got to stop Ange and his system. And if he strengthens it, then it'll be even harder to stop us. You know, if he gets a Gallagher. Oh, look, if Ange wants Gallagher and he gets him, I always back every player at this club until they leave. And when they leave, I wish him well. Right? I might do severe critiques on players. I was severely critical of Porro earlier on. He's improved a lot, you know. Now I'm on the Basuma Madison case. Step up, guys. Step up. You know, we're not going to carry you. No one's going to carry you in an Ange team. No one's going to carry a player. And Ange won't do it.
Chris Peters has made a very good point here. I think the difference between English teams and European teams has better managers and being technically better playing footballers. That's what I think, right? There are very good technical players in the Premiership, right? But the majority of the Premiership is packed full of foreign players, right? And that's why they're bringing this rule in about the foreign.
I agree with what Chris says as well. And the thing is, when you're playing in other leagues that aren't as fast as Furious, you get a bit more time to be technical.
Yeah.
You know, to develop your techniques. And also, when you're playing an English team, if you are going to be overpowered, you've still got technical players that can like try and play through you, and it works some of the time, and it doesn't work at other times, right? And so, like, yeah, they get more time on the ball in other leagues than you do in the Premier League. You get the ball in the Premier League now, I mean, like, someone's on you straight away.
They're like flies. I don't know if you watched the Spurs Manchester United ladies game. They were on us like flies, right? As soon as we got the ball, they put us off our game, right? And it's the same in the Premiership, right? You get the ball, you've got hardly any time to think, right? And all the technical skill is being sucked out of it because there's high press teams. There's teams that press low block, mid block. There's everything block. Why don't you have a game where everybody relaxes and like football in the old, I just remember football in the 80s and 90s was fabulous. And even the 70s, the Liverpool team of the 70s, they were fabulous. Manchester United, even Spurs early doors in the 70s under Bill Nick. We've done 2 League Cups, 71, 73. We won the UEFA Cup in 74. Right? We were fabulous. You know, like the expression in the game. You know, I would love to see another player like Glenn Hoddle come out of our academy. You know, I would love to see a Matt Letizia come out of Southampton's academy. That type of player that gets you off your seats and scores goals as well. Because Glenn Hoddle and Matt Letizia scored fantastic goals. They were superb, supreme players of the English Premier. Well, it was the old First Division then, wasn't it? Right? So, I don't know. I just feel like so disappointed when I go football, Adrian, that it's just the passing game. Like, boom, 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 bang in the goal. Like tennis, you know, when you get 2 players and they're fantastic at serving. Bash! It's all over. Bash! It's all over. It's exciting for that second. And then all the creativity out of tennis is gone.
Well, it's because most players... Well, when players go, right, when a player goes to a club, you know, to be evaluated, the one thing they know for sure, you don't give the ball away. If you give the ball away while you're on a trial, straight away it's marked against you. Everything's about keeping the ball, not giving. And you see that fear in players in the Premier League and all. They're frightened to give the ball away. Yeah. In the final third, what I liked about Poch, he said, I want us to take risks in the final third. I think Ange does as well. But the player on the ball is the one that he don't want his stats to look bad. He's frightened. If he makes the easy pass, his stats look good, you know. So, like you say, wingers not willing to take people on. You know, it's that little taking a risk and a chance, try and hit the ball over the top. If the defender heads it away and Sonny don't get on the end of it because he's made a run, fair enough. Give Maddison his due. He does try it. He does take risks.
Of course he does.
Right? He does take risks. And so, like, that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
Right? But
in that goal he set up at Arsenal, that was fabulous, wasn't it? He left Saka for dead, absolutely skinned him. It's a beautiful ball to Sonny, and Sonny finishes it sublimely. What a great goal that was. That's the sort of football you want to see, but there's not enough of it, right? There's creativity, but it's not the same. Like, when I used to watch football in the 80s, that was my peak time in the 80s. We won the FA Cup 81, 82, and 81, 82. And then in the 90s, we won it again in 1991 with a very maverick team, you know. But there's not enough maverick footballers who are just exceptional footballers. Like, they can trap the ball, they can do a deft touch.
They've never survived. They won't survive their club's academies if they're about. They won't survive.
It's a shame. It really is a shame that football's gone that way. I think it's a crying shame as well, because I pine to watch Glenn Hoddle play again. If there was another Glenn Hoddle who came out of our academy of that calibre, they're going to suck it out of him because they're going to say, pass lad, pass and move, right?
Yeah, just answering a couple of questions in the chat. Johnny Talk Spurs. Notice Joe Roden was on a retained list. He is. Always saying we let people go. Joe Roden is on our list of our 25. We're just waiting for Leeds or Southampton or Ipswich to come in and buy him. Shamtown, why wasn't Ndumbele's contract not ripped up too, hopefully? Well, like I say, he's on about 8.5 million. With Japhet Tanganga, he was probably on about 40 grand. Or he might have been on more than that, but I'm just being very conservative. That he might have been on 50, 55 or whatever it was. He was on 40 grand. That's over 2 million a year. So if Mill are only going to offer, if they're Skin or other clubs only going to offer $1.5 million and all that for him, you might as well just let him go, right? Because you'll save the money on the wages, and you might be stuck with a player, and then he's taken a place up in your squad. So he goes. Sessignon, they just didn't take up the option on him, so they're saving his wages. And he would probably have been on, signed as a 17-year-old, but he'd probably been on more than Tanganga, right? So no loss there. We knew Dyer and Kane were gone, so we're saving at least 10 million a year on Kane in wages, right, without bonuses and stuff on. So yeah, and then going down cover tweet out last night on him.
All right, Leo, well done.
Well, it's come out that Eze does have to get an out clause, and if Leeds is serious about pushing the club, then he has to pay the money. But I think we'll pay the money. I think we'll pay the money for Eze, because the thing about the Eze deal is it says Lange is talking to Crystal Palace. Well, that tells you that the agreement has been done with the player and his agent, and they share the same agents with some Spurs players as well, and they shared a box at Spurs recently. And Madison's having photos taken with Eze as well. So, to me, I think, and there aren't many other Premier League clubs that are going to come up with 55, 60 million or 50 mil with 10 million add-ons for Eze. They must make money for player. So, and he would be a marquee signing, Eze, and I'm excited if we get him.
Yeah, I'm too. He's a very good player. He's like a lot of players in the Premiership in one sense, but he stands out because he's got that class, and he drops his shoulder and he's off, and he's such an elegant player. The way he moves, he's very calm on the ball as well, and he uses the ball very, very well. I like him a lot. I mean, when he was at QPR, my husband's team, I used to watch him then, and I thought he was a fabulous player, but he was playing in the Championship. Let's see if he can do it in the Premiership. And at Crystal Palace, all right, he's had some injuries, but when he's come back from injury, he's always excelled, and he's a standout player in that team. And that's why a lot of clubs are courting for his signature, because this lad can play, right? And he's one of those players that maybe is the maverick in the team in terms of he can bring some oozing class. I think he's got
everything right here. Unfortunately, players being pre-expressed has been coached out of them due to the system. Yeah, it's true. Very true, mate.
Is that further down the chat?
Yeah, that's Hasbro TV.
Hasbro,
he knows his football.
Yeah, he's a good lad. You know, he came to my daughter's birthday party as well. We invited him. It's a lovely lad. Mole High Hotspur, Jazzy G, I'm absolutely would, but I'm waiting to get a haircut. I've got to look good for my video later. I'm going to Mexico versus Uruguay tonight. Got to scout Jimenez for us. Yes, that's it. Get him to sign on that
dotted line. Good for you, Peter Cahagias, if you were teaching them to use their skills and practice. Remember, because when I was a kid in the playground, I mean, I was a bit too young to appreciate what happened when Spurs won the double, all the excitement, although I did go to the parades and all that. I was 6 years old at the time. But what you noticed in the school playgrounds when Spurs won the double, everyone that see their heroes that had been, would want to do. You didn't have all the TV you've got now, so you had to go to games, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you see a player do a dummy or whatever, kids will be practicing that in a playground, like they would want to copy their idols, and then even call their idol's name out when they go, Eusebio, as they got the ball or whatever, and they'd be like trying to beat a man. Yeah.
Well, so far in the international friendlies, Slovakia have beaten San Marino 4-0. Well, they're the whipping boys of world football, aren't they, San Marino? Denmark are still 1-1 with Sweden. My man Højbjerg scored and Isak scored for Sweden. Norway are beating Kosovo 1-0 at the moment. And Belgium and Montenegro are playing later. So are France, Luxembourg, and Spain and Andorra. They're all late kickoffs, those ones. But, there's some really good games being set up as friendlies. Then you've got loads of other games like Gibraltar versus Wales, Netherlands versus Canada, and Mexico versus Uruguay. So there's a lot of football being played tonight. But back to this chat, we've got Peter Cahagias. The money these players are on is mind-boggling. It's true. They're on a wedge, aren't they, players today, Adrian?
Yeah.
But some of them deserve it and some of them don't.
Yeah, and they're all on. I mean, all the players are on millions, aren't they? I think most of the Spurs players earn more than the chairman, the chairman who comes in for a lot of stick all the time. Most of them are more money than him. Right? If you're on 8 million and all that, in another business, if you was in charge of a 500 company that earned 540 million pound, you'd be on a lot more than 3 million a year.
How I see it, Adrian, we're paying an awful lot of money to get no return in terms of glory. Like Phil Nicholson would be turning in his grave. He said, we at Spurs want to be the best. We don't want to be the second best. And I'm glad that Postecoglou came out and said that we want to be the best. He doesn't want to finish second, third or fourth or fifth.
But we've seen good signs with the evolution of all aspects of the club. From the academies especially have done brilliant. The Women's Super League, the team, the Spurs ladies have done brilliant. Like we've seen a turnover at staff. We've seen a completely new recruitment team. Some fans still moan at the coaches. There's fans out there that don't know what coaches are doing what. I know Mason does more with the attacking set plays and stuff, or Millie Jedinak, who also actually had a lot to do with loan deals when he was at Villa, but he was captain of Australia when Ange was in charge and all that. So those two are the only two. The reason he's here is because Lange came from Villa, was highly rated, and he wanted him with him. And then you got Rob McKenzie come in, right? So the recruitment team is basically Ange, Lang, Rob McKenzie. I mean, it's them three, and then the guy who's been given the purse strings now from Levy is doing administration stuff with other aspects of the club, like building and whatever, to make more and more money. Scott Munn's overall chief football officer. So he's in charge of the football side of the club, basically, which is basically the shield between him and Levy, really, isn't it? You know, it's
as long as they're all working together and all pulling the same towards.
Well, as long as he steps back and he just says, "Look, you've got this. You can spend this amount, right?" Now we've spent 685 million and bought 29 players since the stadium's opened, right? So that works at about 23 million amount of player. We could probably name about 9 good ones in a present squad recently, and the rest have been crap, right? So bearing on that mind, we should have a bit more than 137 million to spend in this window, because we had our best revenue year of 549 million, right? So and then to add to that, we'll have player sales. They'll go up the books account, which, although they're going to next year's account, the club can go, okay, we can afford to go for players. We can all spend a bit more because we know this money is coming in.
Spend it wisely.
It's like if you've got a business and you've got an order book full, you can go to your bank manager and say, look, my order book's full. It's worth this much. I need to go and get players. They go, banks get their interest on the money. They go, fine, you can have it. You can have it.
Adrian, right? It's all very well having the money, but we've got to spend it well this time.
Exactly.
We've got
this is the thing under the rules, you see.
Positions that we need, and don't leave ourselves.
All clubs are going to be in the same. Whatever they can spend, they have to spend it wisely, because they can't overspend. The rules are to make more of a level playing field. So, like, it doesn't end up like in Spain when it's mostly Barcelona or Real Madrid. The order is to try and level it up a bit. You're always going to have clubs like Spurs and Man United that are going to generate a lot of money, more money than other teams, and Liverpool, because Man United and Liverpool, they've got the pedigree, the European pedigree, and they've got the fan bases throughout the world because they've had the most European success. So, like, they're always going to be up there, but it will give the smaller clubs a better chance, you know, of trying to close the gap. I don't know how much, but it will give them a better chance. That's what these rules are for. You know what though? That's why it's called financial. Well, why it was called
financial fair play. But we know it's going to be more or less the same teams competing. The lesser teams, they will try and get closer, but there'll be one or two that break the lines, and the rest of them are going to be falling by the wayside as usual. Like from 10th down to 20th, they're normally the same clubs. There's always one or two, like Brighton broke into it, one that got into the Europa Cup. There's not many other teams. Wolves are sort of on the fringe. Aston Villa have always been there or thereabouts, but they've broken into the top 4. Newcastle did it with their money. but they didn't. They spent wisely, I must admit. They didn't spend loads and loads like Arsenal did or Manchester City early doors, and they've managed to secure European football.
But the good thing about the new rules, if they're ratified this month, the SCR rules, the squad cost ratio rules, is the fact that the transfer market went through a period of deflation because of COVID and no one having any money.
Yeah.
So prices for players sort of dropped about some cases 20 mil, 60 million pound player
really
to 20 million pound player, right? And therefore the wages drops, which I think is a positive thing. And that period of deflation is just going to stabilise the transfer market now when these new rules are ratified. Because no more will agents be able to come and demand extortionate wages for their players. They'll still be on massive wages, but no one
about the rate having a wage cap and getting a more even field for lesser teams who can't afford to pay the big wages.
I don't think there'll be a wage cap.
I know there won't be, but what do you think if that happened? I know it probably won't happen, but do you think it would be a good thing if it happened?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, whether it's happened in America and all that. I haven't really looked into it.
Yeah, it has. I've had quite a few American people on the Irish Hotspur saying that the wage cut really works because it gives an even.
Well, then it's something that should be looked at if it works in our sport as well. But their wage cap works, but they have a totally different. They don't have a transfer system in their sports like we do as well.
No, they don't.
Like, that might be part of the reason why the wage cap works as well. I mean, I don't know. It's probably all interrelated, but I don't know nothing about that.
So,
but to me, these new rules will have a stabilising effect on the transfer market. Actually, it'll help European clubs even compete a bit more with us, those that earn more money. Because at the moment, we can just pay an extra 10 mil, extra 15 mil for a player and give them another 30 grand a week, which they can't afford to do. Well, this will lessen that impact of what the Premier League. It will lessen the impact of what the Premier League has when it comes to spending, right? And I've never been a fan of agents because I'm old school anyway. I don't like the fact that I don't like the fact when the engineer moved for players, and I don't like the fact that when Bill Nicholson used to go and play, you'd hear about it next day in the paper. When we got Chivers, you didn't hear that wasn't all over the papers and the press. All the Spurs deals were done, and straight away, bang, you'd hear about it. Oh, we got Ralph Coates. Oh, we got Martin Chivers. Oh, we got Martin Peters and Greaves.
Ricky, isn't it?
You never heard nothing about. You might have heard a slight rumor, but you didn't have all this media attention on it on a daily basis. You didn't hear that, right? But now, what happens is, if you are interested in a player, straight away his agent mouths off to all and sundry, trying to bump the price up or his wages up and all that. They're on the commission. Can I ask you, Adrian? Are
agents getting commission still for obviously the high commissions they were getting before? Because I'm not really into that side of the football. Are they getting commission?
Their money comes from somewhere. Now the rumor is it comes from the clubs, and the clubs are saying, I think Simon Jordan has said, that should come out the players' wages. I haven't verified that, but that's the way it comes across. So part of the deal is that the club pays the agent's fee, and it's complicated because it's not always like club, your agent, the player's agent, the other club and their agent. Yeah. Sometimes there are negotiating teams involved. If we're going out now and we're looking to bring 4 or 5 players in, well, Johan Lang can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, true.
And not only that, if you're negotiating, it comes. So then you get teams involved that apart from the agents, negotiating teams to go in there. And you tell your team what you want, you go and speak to them. They come report back to Johan Lange or whatever it is. And he says yes or no, no, not that add-on, no way or whatever, So you can involve a lot of people for a lot of money, and the agents take money out of the game, right? That's what they're doing. They're taking money out of the game. So
all they do is set up deals for players, and they're basically grabbing the money and running, and they're making themselves multi-millionaires on the back of football. And what do? They don't, I haven't got a clue what they do in terms of why they earn so much money. Well, I mean, they're players. I know they're players' agents, and they represent their players, so they're there to get them the best deal with the best contracts and make their players get to a better club as well in terms of moving them on from, say, I don't know, from Norwich City, say, to Liverpool. If they get them that deal, because that Norwich City player is fantastic and Liverpool are interested in them, then they obviously negotiate the deal, get the player the best deal that he can possibly ask for.
Come up with a good comment. Larwiga, a wage cap, Italian clubs.
I just wanted to read out
have self-imposed wage caps despite it not being mandatory. They've self-regulated themselves. All right,
I just wanted to read out Rob Belcher's because I love Rob Belcher. He's a lovely lad. He's a lovely man. Meta Football TV. Chris, I subbed to Cali Plains and watching yesterday. I was gifted a membership. Wow, that's really good, Rob. I'm glad that you were gifted a membership. You deserve it. And Round Table Talk saying, that's Nick. Leo, I love the way Jimenez plays. Good on the ball. Good finisher. Needs to quit diving. No, he got a card for it versus the US last time that they played us. Yeah, you see, maybe if he cuts out that bit of his play, I'm sure Angel will have a word if he's signing. You know, he's probably seen that. And we saw it with Basuma as well, didn't we, Adrian? When he faked dive.
I think he's Mexican, but he qualifies to play for Argentina.
Right. So he's Mexican, but he's he actually been playing for Mexico, I believe. So how old is this guy, Jimenez?
He's 23, I think, is he?
23. So he's already played for Mexico, but he actually qualifies for playing for Argentina as well.
I just want to check because I've looked at so many players. I don't want to give people false information.
No, that's all right. You can make mistakes. Yugoslavia has been carved up into various countries. What are those countries? I think we named them all, didn't we? Right, Jazzy G, La Verdad es que la Liga Española es mucho más admirado afuera otras ligas.
I'm right. It's down.
What I said.
Yeah, it's down to his date of birth. He's 23. He was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Right.
But his citizenship is Mexican. So he's been born in there, but somehow he's took up Mexican citizenship.
But is he eligible to play for Argentina? Because I believe he's playing for Mexico.
No, he plays current international. He's a Mexican international.
He's got to Mexico.
Caps, goals, 25. 25 goals he's got. I think 4 for his country.
4 for his cup, 25 games, 4
yellow cards 3, goals 23, assists 6. So he's got for Feyenoord. This is the Eredivisie stats.
Is he on loan to Feyenoord?
No, he's a final player.
He's a final player, right? Yeah.
Current market value 40 million euros to 50. Highest market value 50 million euros. Yeah.
Right, so that's about 47 mil, isn't it?
Yeah,
so I think. Same as Brennan Johnson.
I think we're looking to go for him, and I think we're going to pay about 45 million for him.
I know I've watched him.
I don't think anyone else is going to take a risk on him for that sort of money, but we can afford to put a down payment on him and one on Ezzy and get both those in. Yeah. I'm interested in I haven't got a clue really what does Ainge want as another midfielder. We know he wants Gallagher, but if he can't get Gallagher, I don't know. I haven't got a clue he wants. I don't know if we'll get a couple of surprises defensively, like left back, right back, or centre back. I don't know.
Yeah. Right, I'm just going to go to the chat now, Adrian. I'll let you read it. You can read it. You can read that one out.
People have been saying he's over 200 grand a week for the last, unless it's a contract he takes away to cut both appearances. Man, he hasn't been on 200 grand a week, right? He hasn't. I mean, I heard he was on. From a decent source, I heard that he was on 120 grand a week when he came over. And bear in mind, he came from Lyon anyway. That would have probably been 4 times his wages there anyway. So, but it could have been up to 150. But no, he wasn't on 200 grand a week.
Yeah. Okay. That's answered that one. Nick saying, I joined, but I have a lot of yard work still. We had 6 tornadoes last week. Wow.
You're lucky, Nick. We don't get any tornadoes.
You know
That's
what I
a joke,
mean?
Nick,
It's hard
terrible,
work.
terrible, yeah.
You'll have to make some more pear cider, I think, to get you through it. You know what I mean? get it made and have some lovely cake with it. That's what I would do. Met a football TV, Chris. I don't hate Real Madrid. I don't appreciate the things that have gone on in their history that have led them to what they are now. Nothing to do with me being a Barcelona fan, which happenstance. Yeah, I agree with you, you know, because there's a lot of clubs. I mean, we were talking about Arsenal and their history, weren't we, Adrian? And how they became big, you know, stepping on Spurs' toes and getting where they wanted to do by allegedly bribing the other. Back in 2019, we gave them our grand, didn't we? Two years they used our grand because their grand was unplayable. I think it got bombed in the war or something like that, if I'm right. Right. So over to you, Adrian, because I want you to tell them the story of how Arsenal took our thunder and moved into North London even. I want you to tell everybody.
Yeah, it didn't affect a little bit of success with it, because when Peter McVilliam became manager after him being a very successful player at Newcastle, that was in 1913. But in 1914, the Great War started to 18, so the football was suspended. In 1919, that was when the vote went, when we were finished bottom of the league. Chelsea finished second for bottom. They stayed up because it was believed, because the league management at the time believed that the match between Liverpool and Man United was rigged, and therefore Chelsea finished in that place, like that, apparently. So then the chairman of Arsenal, Norris, was going around and he did something untoward, which got up and made an impassioned speech for Arsenal being promoted into the first division, right, when they were lying sixth. If anything, the clubs above Arsenal had more, had more of a case to be promoted, and it didn't happen. Well, anyway, so Arsenal got their spot in the first division, and Spurs did get relegated. But Pete McWilliam won his first 23 games playing a fast, attractive style of football that would come known as the Spurs way. I think we won the first 23 games, and we won the second division title. And then in 2021, the year after, we reached the cup final, which was played at Stamford Bridge, and we beat Chelsea 1-0 with a second half goal by Jimmy Dimmock. Then the following season in the first division, we finished runners-up to Man United. And then Peter McWilliam gets, after a while, he had 2 stints at Spurs. He got tempted for a colossal salary of £1,500 a year to go to Middlesbrough. So he went there for a while. Things didn't go great. And he came back to Spurs in 1938 before the war for a second stint.
Yeah.
I'll go on about...
Adrian, tell the people about Arsenal putting blue and white in their badge.
I've heard this story. I don't know if it's myth or law. I mean, I've heard
that it's true.
Gun carriage now. There's no blue in it. There's a bit down the outside, maybe. I think. Yeah,
it's like a bit of blue that they did to say thank you to Tottenham for letting them have their ground for 2 years.
When I did my research on,
this is my brother.
I don't doubt it's true. I never came across that particular bit when I was doing my historical perspective of Spurs.
My brother was asking a known author of Spurs history books, and he was helping him in
someone like Hunter Davies or someone like that.
Yeah, I'll have to ask my brother who it was. It probably is Hunter Davies. But it was my brother Paul initially who started the talks with the gentleman, because he was very interested in the history of Spurs. So carry on, Adrian. Give them the history of why Arsenal sort of stepped on our toes and got ahead.
Then you had the fact that when Arsenal first came into being, they were called Dial Square, believe it or not.
That's right.
And then before they become known as Woolwich Arsenal, Royal Arsenal, and then just Arsenal. Yeah. 4 name changes.
And my brother said they were in the parish of Plumstead, which was they were in Plumstead, which was in the parish of Woolwich, and he found that out from the historian who was writing the book. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and when they moved to North London, it wasn't just Spurs that objected. Leyton Orient objected and Chelsea objected, believe it or not, about them moving to North London. Why that was the case with Chelsea, I don't know. But obviously, all the clubs thought, no, they all thought that it was going to affect their crowds, basically. It didn't.
Yeah.
Clubs and the terraces were solid, you know. I mean, so it didn't really affect their crowds at all. So that's basically them moving into our patch. And the scandal over how they got into the first division. Norris allegedly obviously threw loads of money around. So that is the main reason, you know. So
yeah, so really they did it by default, didn't they? Throwing their weight around, bribing people allegedly, and taking our thunder and moving into our territory. They say we were a Middlesex club as well. Middlesex is far nearer to North London, and it's actually in North London now. And that
always has been, because Middlesbrough, if you look at it, Middlesex as a borough, it's a very long borough. It's a long string borough. It's not like a big round borough like you got other boroughs in. It's a long string borough because it goes right up to.
And you know what, Adrian? I don't know why Arsenal don't want to identify as a South London club. Well, you think they would, because that's how they started. Why wouldn't you want to identify it and move back to South London?
I don't know if they've got a museum
and move away, you trespassers.
I don't, to be honest, I don't particularly care about them. I'm very Spurs.
I don't want them in our area. That's what I don't want. They're trespassing in our area. Yeah, go over that side, T.
Can't look at that there.
Hold on a minute, because my husband wants to get his pills. Let me just put him on. Let me take me off for a bit.
Why don't we end the show? Because
we're going to end the show because my husband's
going about 3 hours. Thanks to all you in the chat for your questions.
Yeah, we'll end the show. I'll just bring that swim master. Yellow Star Brigade, my five-a-side football team within the competition, run by the Metropolitan Police in the early 80s, My Tottenham school, Drayton, I was in Yellow House and I borrowed the shirts. That's my school. So me and Swim Master, I was in Blue House. He was in Yellow House. My form teacher was Mr. Curry, who you'll know very well because he was the economics teacher, and he fell in love with the music teacher. Right, so we're going to wrap up the show.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave you with this, everybody.
I'm going to give you a quick message after the show, Elio, and there's something I need to talk to you about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm going to wrap up the show.
I'll do it on WhatsApp. I'll send you on WhatsApp, okay?
I just wanted to play a few things before we wrap up the show. Right, so you know what? All these banners, there's so many in here. It's unbelievable. Right, so where are the funny ones? Right. I can't find them. Just bear with me, T. You won't be long. Right, I found the outro music, so that's one good thing. But I just wanted to play something else. Here we go. Right, for all you Eric Dyer fans, here we go. I'll leave you with that. I'll play the outro, and then obviously Adrian wants to talk to me about something serious. So I better get to it. Bye-bye for now. Thank you very much, Adrian. Thank you for everybody who's joined us.
Big up you in the chat. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Spurs fans, you're fantastic. And up the Spurs. And what you're saying, Adrian?
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on. See you later.